Chapter 2581. Book 1, Chapter 26. Suppression. This is the first time I've seen an Emperor's Star awaken suppressed. That's right, it's my first time as well. However, most people aren't stupid enough to suppress an Emperor's Star's awakening. I'm actually not too surprised that we succeeded in suppressing them this time. Look at how many forces and great ancestors participated in this. He's going against the entire spirit realm by himself. Now that you say it like that, I can understand how difficult it was. It's just that I feel a bit of pity. What's there to feel pity about? He's an immortal bastard from the spirit realm, and he's a bastard to begin with. Now his bloodline deserves it. AI, now that this immortal bastard's Emperor's Star has been suppressed, he's dead for sure. The ancestors' gazes fell on Zhao Fu's powerless body. The golden-clothed, middle-aged man said softly, "Kill him. Who would dare to keep such a person alive?" The beautiful woman sighed. It would be great if he wasn't an immortal bastard. With such shocking potential, it would be quite a pity for him to die here today. The white-clothed elder said, "There's no point in talking about this. Let's do it. Kill him with all your strength, and don't leave a trace of his soul power behind." The ancestors nodded and prepared to attack, to kill Zhao Fu. Boom! An explosion suddenly sounded out, causing everyone's expressions to fall. Their gazes once again gathered on Zhao Fu. Things were not over yet. A massive blood-red aura flowed out of Zhao Fu's body and flooded out, instantly sweeping out in all directions and giving off an aura of slaughter, bloodthirst, disaster, and war. Sensing this power, everyone looked shocked. They had never thought that something like this would happen. Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as countless traces of golden aura flowed out from Zhao Fu's body, flooding out in all directions. They gave off a noble and supreme power that seemed to be able to rule over everything. This startled the ancestors awake, and the golden-clothed, middle-aged man looked terrified as he roared, "Hurry and kill him!" Boom! Boom! The various patriarchs came to their senses and unleashed attacks. Waves of terrifying power blasted towards Zhao Fu from all directions, seeming to be able to destroy all things. No one could defend against this unimaginably terrifying power. However, it was too late. A few massive auras surged out from Zhao Fu's body. There was a bone-chilling ghostly aura, a terrifying devil aura, an evil demonic aura, an outlander aura, and a divine aura. Numerous auras flowed out, and the heavens and earth instantly changed. Boundless heaven and earth power covered Zhao Fu's body, and the countless powerful attacks were all turned into nothingness by the heaven and earth power, not harming Zhao Fu at all. Seeing that they did not harm Zhao Fu in the slightest, the ancestors' faces turned extremely ugly. At that moment, the world started to violently tremble and the light became dim. Clouds quickly swirled in the sky as wild gales started to blow. Countless bolts of lightning roared as they descended, and a hair-raising power covered the surroundings. A boundless might gradually spread out from the depths of the sky, causing everyone's bodies and souls to feel an intense sense of fear, and they wanted to kneel down. Everyone felt quite startled and looked up at the sky. Under this boundless might, they felt incredibly powerless and insignificant. Boom! 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 Heaven-shaking explosions continuously sounded out as boundless power caused the sky to turn into nothingness, turning everything pitch black. There was not a trace of light, and it was so dark that it could cause people to feel terror. There was a massive star giving off blood-red light, a massive golden star giving off golden light, a massive gray star giving off gray light, a massive violet star giving off violet light, a massive black star giving off black light. There were 7 stars in total, and they gave off all sorts of starlight and immense power that ruled over each race. They slowly descended from the sky, and the heavens and earth seemed to stop. Xian Yi and the others looked incredibly shocked. They finally believed Zhao Fu's words. Zhao Fu was not a celestial bastard and was instead the possessor of 7 Emperor's Stars, the second king of kings, and the number 1 person in the Heaven Awakened world. Now, They felt so regretful that they wanted to die. They had not offended such a terrifying existence, and they had foolishly tried to stop him from awakening the spirit race's Emperor Star. The various ancestors also looked incredibly shocked. When Zhao Fu had released that massive blood-red aura, they had sensed Zhao Fu's true identity. Now that they had personally seen 7 Emperor Stars descend, they were certain of Zhao Fu's identity. Before, they had not been able to see through Zhao Fu's identity because Zhao Fu was awakening the spirit race's Emperor Star and had boundless heaven and earth power, making it impossible for them to see through Zhao Fu's true identity. If they had known Zhao Fu's true identity, they definitely would not have come to this. The various factions could do their best to stop one supreme Emperor Star from awakening, but they would not be able to stop 8. The various ancestors' expressions were quite unsightly. Facing this power, they felt a trace of despair, and they were powerless to stop all of this. The experts of the other domains also looked incredibly shocked. They had thought that the spirit domain's experts were going to surround and kill the celestial bastard, but they had never thought that this person was not the celestial bastard, but the legendary possessor of 7 Emperor Stars. They had come here to find him. Now that Zhao Fu had such terrifying heaven and earth power, they could only watch and did not dare to do anything. The attacks of the various ancestors had not been able to harm him at all, and if they went up, they would just be sending themselves to their deaths. Everyone in the card world looked incredibly shocked. He was the most terrifying person in the world. Now, they finally understood just how terrifying this person was. If they hadn't personally seen him, they definitely would not have believed that such a person existed. Everyone in the outer world stared at Zhao Fu in the air with wide eyes. This was their target, the Heaven Awakened world's #1 person. They had long since heard of how terrifying he was, and now they had finally seen him. The rumors were not false at all. Everyone in the alchemy world looked at Zhao Fu in shock, and their bodies slightly trembled. This was the Heaven Awakened world's #1 person. Indeed, he was terrifying to the point of terrifying. If such a person grew up, just how terrifying would he be? They could not even imagine it, and they could only feel a deep sense of terror. In the air, Zhao Fu's body gave off a world-destroying power. He slowly raised his head, and the countless chains binding him instantly shattered. Xian Yi and the others felt as if they had been hit by a wave of energy, and they once again coughed up a mouthful of blood. Boom! A supreme power exploded out from Zhao Fu's body, turning into a shocking shockwave that spread out. The massive pillars of light in the surroundings all shattered, turning into motes of light and dissipating. The various ancestors' bodies trembled, and a trace of blood leaked out of their mouths. Chapter 2582. Book 1, Chapter 27. Seal. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as countless rays of silver-white light shone out from the sky. A massive wave of spirit energy seeped out from the depths of the sky as a massive silver-white star giving off a terrifying might slowly descended from the sky. The spirit race's Emperor Star once again descended, and this time no one dared to stop it. As the spirit race's Emperor Star slowly descended, all of the spirit race's bloodlines became heated. Only now did countless people realize that the spirit race's Emperor Star had descended, and they all looked in this direction in shock. In the end, the spirit race's Emperor Star completely descended, giving off boundless silver-white light that covered the surroundings. It gave off a supreme spirit energy that seemed to control all creatures, covering the entire heavens and earth. Under this spirit energy, everyone felt incredibly small, as if they were facing the heavens. Some rocks, flowers, trees, and other lifeless things received great fortuitous encounters under this powerful spirit energy, and they gradually gained their own life and consciousness. The spirit race's Emperor Star was also called the 10,000 Spirit Tao Star. It had the power to control and create all creatures, and it contained the power of the heavens and earth. It could cause lifeless things to gain life, and all living things would be under its control. This was not just the spirit race, but all living things. All living things had their own consciousness and spirituality. As such, whether it was the spirit race, god race, human race, demon race, or outlander race, they would all be affected by the spirit race's emperor star. However, the spirit race was the most affected because their spirituality was the strongest. The other races were less affected, and this was quite shocking. After all, ordinary supreme emperor stars could only affect a single race, while the 10,000 spirit Tao star could affect all living things. Moreover, the 10,000 spirit Tao star's power was not just that. It also contained the power of the heavens and earth, which was the power of the heavens and earth. It controlled the power of the world's laws, and with this power, one could create a world like the godly realm's supreme godly power. However, the world created by godly power was different from the world created by the heavens and earth. One was based on godly power, and the world created was related to godly spirits. The other was based on the world's laws, and the world created could contain all sorts of creatures and powers. This kind of world-creating power was much more powerful than godly power, and its laws were more stable and sturdy. The 10,000 spirit Tao star's power was just that powerful, and it was why there were so few of them. Boom! An explosion once again sounded out as a silver-white pillar of light descended from the sky and landed on Zhao Fu's body. A massive wave of the spirit race's emperor star's power entered Zhao Fu's body, causing Zhao Fu's body to once again go through changes. The spirit race's power, which had obtained the spirit race's bloodline, continued to rise with this emperor star's power, reaching its peak. The yin, yang, and 5 phases spiritual power that Zhao Fu had previously possessed transformed into the terrifying power of the heavenly Daos, giving Zhao Fu the power to create a new world. Furthermore, this power of the heavenly Daos could become a paragon like the power of the myriad gods in the divine world. However, this required Zhao Fu to continuously improve his heavenly energy. Currently, the heavenly energy that Zhao Fu possessed was only at the elementary level. Even though it was only at the elementary level, ordinary people would not be able to obtain it. After all, Zhao Fu had obtained this power by awakening the spirit race's emperor star. How could it be so easy to obtain this kind of power? Zhao Fu's bloodline once again rose. Before, Zhao Fu's bloodline was already the origin bloodline, and there were very few things in the world that could increase his bloodline. However, this powerful emperor star's power had done it. Now, as long as Zhao Fu's blood fell on anything, it would obtain life, such as rocks, weapons, tables, chairs, or porcelain. After these things obtained life, they would also have powerful spirit energy, and they would be rare treasures in the eyes of others. At the same time, some changes happened to Zhao Fu's body. A silver-white pupil once again appeared in his left eye. In his right, I became a Tai Chi pupil. There were 6 gray dots in 6 directions, and apart from giving off a domineering and noble aura, he also had a trace of spirit chi. The silver-white pillar of light slowly weakened, and the massive emperor star's power that had entered Zhao Fu's body gradually disappeared before completely disappearing. Boom, boom, boom. After the spirit race's emperor star completely descended, the other 7 emperor stars exploded out with massive waves of emperor star power. The 8 emperor stars seemed to be connected to each other, and heaven and earth power quickly gathered towards them. Boom! An explosion sounded out as if the heavens and earth were about to shatter, causing the ground to crack. The 8 emperor stars simultaneously exploded out with unimaginably terrifying power, and 8 rays of light covered the heavens and earth as they quickly spread out. The entire heaven-awakened world was covered by these 8 rays of light, and countless people looked up at the sky with strange expressions. In the distance, there were 8 resplendent stars. Human domain. Seeing these 8 emperor stars, everyone felt incredibly shocked. They understood what had happened. The number 1 person in the heaven-awakened world had awakened another supreme emperor star. Now that he had 8 supreme emperor stars, just thinking about it made people feel terrified. However, Most of them were quite willing to see this because there was not much enmity between that person and them, and that person was most likely from the human race. If the human race had such an existence, it would bring unimaginable benefits to the human race. Perhaps he would lead the entire human race in the future and make the human race the most prestigious race. Demon Domain. Everyone looked at the 8 Emperor stars in shock, and some people felt delighted while others felt terrified. Zhao Fu's situation in the Demon Domain was quite similar to the Spirit Domain. Because Zhao Fu had obtained the evil Spirit Abyss Flower, countless people in the Demon Domain took him to be the evil demon ancestor's legatee. Back then, the evil demon ancestor had offended many people, causing many people in the Demon Domain to hunt down Zhao Fu. Now that these people saw Zhao Fu awaken his 8th Emperor Star, they felt immense terror in their hearts. In the future, they would definitely have to face monsters of this level. Those who were happy were naturally those who had helped Zhao Fu before. Now that Zhao Fu had become so powerful, everything they had done back then had been worth it. Outlander Domain. Countless Outlanders looked at the 8 supreme Emperor stars in the sky with complicated expressions. He was their second king of kings and had the right to lead the entire Outlander race. However, because he was not a pure Outlander, there were many people who did not acknowledge his identity and did not want to submit to him. There were also countless people who wanted to kill him. Back then, when he had been surrounded by the various factions, they had not helped Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu did not acknowledge his identity as an Outlander. Everyone felt some regret. Back then, if the Outlander race had protected him, they would have been able to, but they had not done so. Chapter 2583. Book 1. Chapter 28. Ancient Ruins. If he had done that, he might have become the Outlander race's king of kings and led the Outlander race back to glory. He would have restored the Outlander race's position under the first king of kings and made the other races fear their existence. However, there was one thing that he was glad about, which was that the Outlander College had protected him at all costs, saving his life. The Outlander College not only guarded the King of Kings' legacy, but also protected the legatee. They had done their duty and had not let down the King of Kings at all. This was simply admirable, and it was no wonder the King of Kings had left the Outlander College to guard the legacy. Devil Domain. Everyone's expressions were quite unsightly as they looked at the 8 resplendent stars in the sky. As the 9 Dragon Sovereign's legatee, Zhao Fu could be called the ruler of the dragon race. However, the Dragon Sovereigns did not want Zhao Fu to return, so they had secretly sent experts to hunt down Zhao Fu. There had been enmity between the two sides. Now that Zhao Fu had become so terrifying, not only did he threaten their positions, but also their lives. When he came to the Devil Domain, it was possible that their fates would be decided. The Phoenix race's people looked quite terrified. This person with 8 Emperor stars, the number 1 person in the Heaven Awakened world, belonged to the Dragon race. The Dragon race and Phoenix race had countless years of enmity between them, and if he returned to the Dragon race, he would lead the entire Dragon race to destroy the Phoenix race. This would be a catastrophe for the Phoenix race. Facing this catastrophe, they felt quite helpless. After all, he had 8 Emperor stars and countless experts to try to kill him, but had not succeeded. The Phoenix race could not do anything. When he returned to the Devil Domain, perhaps the catastrophe for the Phoenix race would begin. The White Tiger, Azure Bird, Black Tortoise, White Elephant, and the other Devil race's expressions were quite unsightly. They were not as strong as the Phoenix race and Dragon race, but they were not willing to submit to anyone. The two races did not have the strength to force them to submit. However, if someone with 8 Emperor stars returned to the Dragon race, things would be different. With such a terrifying existence, the Dragon race would become unimaginably powerful. Perhaps the Phoenix race will be the first to be destroyed, but they would be next. If they did not submit to the Dragon race, they would also be destroyed. Looking at the 8 resplendent Emperor stars in the sky, none of the Devil race doubted that Zhao Fu had this ability. God Domain. Everyone looked at the 8 resplendent stars in shock. Even though Zhao Fu had never been to the godly domain before, he had gone to the godly world and awakened the god race's emperor star in the godly world, causing the godly world's world-suppressing armament, the Haotian mirror, to appear. Because they were far away, they could not feel the power of the 8 imperial stars descending, but they could imagine how terrifying it was. Countless people in spirit realm could only feel despair and fear under this power. After all, Zhao Fu had never been to the god domain before and had not awakened the god race's emperor star in the god domain, so he did not have much enmity with the various large factions. In the future, when facing these monster-level existences, there would be some chances to ease the tension. In the border region of the Qin Empire, Bai Qi and the others also saw the 8 resplendent stars and felt quite happy. They knew who this person was. He was the ruler of the Qin Empire and their king. They believed that Zhao Fu would lead the Qin Empire to glory. In the god domain above, the various godly spirits also looked at the 8 resplendent stars in shock. The pantheon goddesses looked at the 8 stars in the sky and sensed that familiar aura. They also felt quite happy, as Zhao Fu was their man. Having a man like this was incredibly fortunate. Now, the various goddesses excitedly started to prepare. After Zhao Fu returned, they would properly celebrate. In the Yin domain below, countless ghosts looked at the 8 resplendent stars in shock. Yellow Springs and the other women also looked at the 8 resplendent stars in shock, feeling incredibly happy. This person who could cause the entire world to fear was their man, and this was something that they could be incredibly proud of. With such a terrifying existence, the Qin Empire would become an extremely powerful existence in the future. They would not have to worry about any dangers anymore, and as long as they followed Zhao Fu, they would definitely become powerful. They would be able to obtain everything they wanted and make countless people feel envious and jealous. Yellow Springs would also become an extremely powerful faction. Everyone in the card world looked at the 8 resplendent stars in shock. They naturally did not know what had happened in the Heaven Awakened world, but they were still incredibly shocked, and massive waves crashed in their hearts. After all, this had happened in the Heaven Awakened world, and even though they were incredibly far away, the 8 stars had still affected them. Without a doubt, something earth-shaking had happened in the Heaven Awakened world. Everyone in the card world looked incredibly serious and hurriedly sent people to investigate what had happened in the Heaven Awakened world. The people from the outer world looked seriously at the 8 pure stars in the sky, and countless bug beasts lay on the ground, not moving at all. Their instincts told them that there was an extremely terrifying danger, and that danger came from the 8 stars in the sky. Everyone felt as if they were in a world of ice and snow, and they felt a bone-chilling coldness. These 8 resplendent stars were simply too terrifying, and it was the first time they had sensed such terrifying danger. What was more, this danger was coming from the Heaven Awakened world. The outer world quickly sent people to investigate what had happened in the Heaven Awakened world. Everyone in the alchemy world looked up at the 8 stars in shock. Ever since the incident with the Haotian mirror, the alchemy world had slowed down its attacks against the Heaven Awakened world and had been paying close attention to the Heaven Awakened world and collecting information about it. The Heaven Awakened world's stars could be seen by people from another world. Just how big of a ripple was this? It was definitely a shocking abnormal sign. Just what had caused such a terrifying abnormal sign? Everyone felt incredibly curious about this and took it seriously. They once again raised their opinion of the Heaven Awakened world and no longer dared to look down on it. They also sent out many people to investigate what had happened. Finally, their gazes returned to Zhao Fu's body. The 8 massive stars gave off all sorts of lights as they floated in the sky, seeming to control everything in the world. The massive might they gave off made even half-celestials feel quite heavy, and some higher beings found it difficult to breathe. Zhao Fu stood below the 8 emperor stars and coldly looked at the various experts, causing them to feel a chill in their hearts and feel an intense sense of danger. Boom! Zhao Fu raised a hand and massive amounts of heaven and earth power quickly gathered, and the 8 supreme emperor stars gave off a world-destroying might. The various experts cried out in terror, "Hurry and run!" Peek! Chapter 2584. Book 1, Chapter 29. Awakening. Now that the Emperor's star had awakened, the heaven and earth power on Zhao Fu's body was dissipating. If the heaven and earth power disappeared, Zhao Fu would not be able to resist against the higher beings, so Zhao Fu wanted to use the dissipating heaven and earth power to counterattack the countless experts present. If they stopped the Emperor's star from awakening, Zhao Fu could use the heaven and earth power to counterattack them. If it did not stop him, Zhao Fu might not be able to counterattack. Just how powerful was the heaven and earth power from the 8 Emperor stars? This was unimaginably powerful and terrifying. Even the higher beings and patriarchs felt quite afraid after sensing this backlash, which was why they yelled out in terror to run. Because the counterattack was too powerful, Zhao Fu could not control it and could only attack indiscriminately. As such, he immediately told Qin Yao and the other women to run. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the 8 Emperor stars' power gathered together, forming a massive 8-colored pillar of light behind Zhao Fu. Terrifying ripples that seemed to be able to destroy the world continuously spread out, seeming to topple mountains and overturn seas, and nothing could stop it. Countless experts quickly ran out in terror, scattering like sand and stones. None of them stopped for even a second. Under that pillar of light, they were like ants. Zhao Fu coldly looked at the experts and lowered his hand. Boom! A world-destroying sound rang out, and the 8-colored pillar of light instantly spread out, bringing with it a power that could destroy all things. The ground, stones, buildings, plants, and trees instantly collapsed, turning into dust under the blinding light. The terrifying power continued to spread out, as if it wanted to destroy the entire world. The entire world trembled in terror as the stars in the sky became dim and lightless. Wild gales howled and lightning rampaged, causing sand and stones to fly everywhere. A world-destroying aura covered everything. From afar, the world seemed to have been devoured by the light, and nothing could be seen. However, that terrifying aura made people feel like they had fallen into a deep abyss. Extreme terror flowed out from their hearts, and their bodies froze, not daring to take a single step closer. After more than an hour, the deafening sound finally stopped. Countless sand and dust filled the void, and some of the larger sand and stone fragments fell down like raindrops. After the dust settled, everyone was more or less injured, and there were traces of blood on their bodies. They looked ahead with some lingering fear. There was a massive crater that stretched as far as the eye could see. The destructive aura had not dissipated yet, and it seeped into everyone's souls, causing them to feel despair. Everyone in the card world, chaos world, and alchemy world looked at the crater in shock. It was probably as big as a world. It was truly terrifying. If it wasn't for the fact that they had quickly escaped, they would have been hit by this power and would have died. Facing this terrifying power, they were unable to resist and could only run. This time, because many higher beings had sensed what Zhao Fu was going to do, they quickly ran away and only suffered some injuries. Only a small number of higher beings were unable to escape and died under this terrifying power. However, things were not over yet. Countless disciples and elders of that sect looked on in fear as a giant hand with a monstrous aura grabbed towards them. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the massive hand slammed against the sect. Countless people's bodies trembled, and they coughed up a large mouthful of blood, and their minds became quite listless. Countless traces of fate flowed out from the sect's legacy ground and spread out like floodwaters. After flowing out, the fate dissipated. Boom! A massive, formless hand gave off boundless power as it slammed against an empire's capital city. Countless residents and soldiers' bodies trembled, and blood leaked out of their mouths as their auras became weak. Roar! A mournful cry sounded out as the empire's fate dragon was struck by this terrifying power, and a large amount of its fate dissipated. Some regions of the empire suddenly experienced earthquakes, floods, volcanic eruptions, and various other disasters. The residents fled in terror, and the region fell into chaos. Boom! The terrifying, formless hand gave off boundless power as it descended. In a picturesque place with lush mountains and clear waters, most of the plants had withered, and the spring water gave off a foul smell. Many birds and beasts had died. Countless people coughed up a mouthful of blood, and their auras became quite weak as they looked at the changes around them in grief. Boom! A massive arm gave off terrifying power as it slammed against a blood-red ground. Countless people wearing blood-red clothes were sent flying and coughed up blood. A few of their bones were broken, and they howled as they fell to the ground. Blood-red aura continuously rose up from the ground before quickly dissipating. Spirit domains, countless factions were also affected by the terrifying heaven and earth power backlash, and they were all heavily injured. This was the backlash from stopping the Emperor Star's awakening, so it was definitely extremely terrifying. Even though these factions were powerful and had deep foundations, they were only heavily injured. If it was a small sect or kingdom, after receiving such a terrifying heaven and earth power backlash, not a single person would have survived, and the region they were in would have become deathly silent. The various factions of the spirit domain were heavily injured, and the spirit domain's overall strength was greatly weakened. In the future, this matter would be called the Celestial Sin Disaster. After all, everything had started because of the Celestial Sin. In the end, no one had been able to find the true Celestial Sin, but they had taken the second King of Kings to be a Celestial Sin. However, everyone had some understanding of the second King of Kings and knew what kind of art he cultivated. They were not too surprised that he could cultivate the complete six desire celestial art, but they were worried that the second King of Kings might be related to the legendary six desire celestial. The various factions became even more fearful of the current number one person in the world. Not only was his identity incredibly terrifying, but he also had 8 supreme Emperor Stars. Just thinking about it made people's heads hurt, and he would be known as the possessor of 8 Emperor Stars in the future. The experts gathered in the spirit domain all returned to their factions and reported what they had seen to the people in their factions. The people in the Heaven Awakened world understood how terrifying Zhao Fu was, so they were not too shocked. However, the people in the other 3 worlds were different. It was the first time they had seen how terrifying Zhao Fu was. After returning to their own worlds, the people in the 3 worlds gathered countless experts to start a discussion. Within the card world, countless armored experts sat around a massive round table. A young boy asked in shock, "Are you sure you're not mistaken? Is the number one person in the Heaven Awakened world this terrifying?" The woman who had been to the spirit domain replied seriously, "Before, I didn't believe it and thought that the Heaven Awakened world was exaggerating him. However, after personally seeing him, I know just how terrifying he is. I am unable to use words to describe his existence." Hearing her reply, the experts fell silent. They had all seen those 8 resplendent stars, but they had never thought that things would be even more terrifying than they had expected. Chapter 2585. Book 1. Chapter 30. By now, they understood how the Heaven Awakened world's experts felt. Who would not be afraid of such a terrifying monster? It was a pity that such a monster did not belong to their card world, but to the Heaven Awakened world. In the future, they would have to face such a terrifying monster, and everyone felt immense pressure. After discussing, the countless experts in the card world unanimously decided to kill Zhao Fu. They could not leave such a monster alive, or else the card world would suffer a calamity. The people in the outer world sat at a rectangular stone table and talked. A green-haired elder said seriously, "Our outer world has fought with the Heaven Awakened world for so many years and has a certain understanding of the Heaven Awakened world history. However, we've never heard of such a terrifying existence." A middle-aged man wearing beast-hide clothes said seriously, "I've personally seen him this time, and I have a strong feeling that he will become the most dangerous enemy the outer world faces. No one in the Heaven Awakened world can compare to him." Next to him, A woman with short green hair and a mature figure said worriedly, that's what I think as well. That person has already awakened 8 emperor stars, 7 of which belong to the 7 major races. Now, the 8 major races only lack 1 emperor star. I'm worried that he will awaken the final race's emperor star. That way, he will have the power to unify the Heaven-Awakened world's 8 major races. Once the Heaven-Awakened world's 8 major races are united, the entire outer world might be destroyed at his hands. Hearing this, everyone felt quite startled, and their expressions became quite unsightly. After discussing, they unanimously decided to kill Zhao Fu. They definitely could not allow such a person to live. The people in the alchemy world sat within a metal room. A young man with mechanical eyes said seriously, "This is what we saw in the spirit domain, and it's the most terrifying scene I've ever seen. There's nothing fake about it." The muscular man with mechanical eyes could not help but sigh. How could the Heaven-Awakened world give birth to such a terrifying person? Why doesn't our alchemy world have one? How are we going to defend against such a terrifying person in the future? A beautiful woman with mechanical nails said, "If there's such a person in our world, you won't think this way when the time comes. In any case, I'm very uneasy and will only be afraid of him." An elder with metallic hair said softly, "I think we should slow down our battles against the Heaven-Awakened world. Last time, the Hao-Ian Mirror unleashed such terrifying power, and now, this person is giving off such terrifying ripples. The Heaven-Awakened world has many secrets." A middle-aged man next to him also nodded seriously, supporting the old man's words. In the end, as expected, the alchemy world unanimously decided to kill Zhao Fu. They could not allow Zhao Fu to awaken another imperial star. Within a courtyard, Lan Yu and the other women smiled excitedly as they looked at Zhao Fu. Right now, everyone was intensely discussing Zhao Fu. Some people were afraid of him, while others adored him. No matter what, Zhao Fu was someone they could never reach, and such a person was right in front of them. However, Zhao Fu's gaze did not fall on them, and instead looked apologetically at Qin Yao and the other women. This time, Qin Yao and the other women had risked their lives to protect him and had been heavily injured. Their cultivations had fallen greatly, and Zhao Fu felt incredibly guilty towards them. He said sincerely, "I'm sorry, I've dragged you all into this." Qin Yi rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu and said, "Why are you being so courteous with us?" Zhao Fu looked at her and smiled as he said, "I feel that I've let you all down this time. I didn't want you all to be injured at all." Qin Yao said softly, "All right, that's enough. Just don't let us down in the future." Zhao Fu nodded and said, "I definitely won't let you down. Now, do you all choose to return to Qin City with me, or stay in the spirit domain to recover?" Right now, Qin Yao and the other women's injuries were very serious. A long journey was not good for their bodies. Moreover, Qin City did not have anything to help them recover from their injuries. Their cultivations were too high, and Qin City was just a border kingdom. If they stayed in the spirit domain, they could rely on their original sections. Now, they should give Zhao Fu some face and help Qin Yao and the other women recover from their injuries. The succubus concubine snorted softly and said, "I've been sealed for so many years. I don't want to be separated from you again. I want to return to your little kingdom with you." Bai Dandan said, "Amen, I want to go too. I don't have anywhere else to go now." Qin Yao said softly, "I also want to go back with you. If we return to the Spirit River sect, we will cause a lot of trouble for them. Sect Master has already treated us sisters with great kindness. I don't want to cause any more trouble for her." After hearing their words, Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "All right, all of you come back with me, but don't mind my little kingdom." Before, Zhao Fu had already told his identity to the women, and after they found out that Zhao Fu, the person who had shaken the entire world and caused the 3 realms to fear him, was just the ruler of a small kingdom in the boundary region, they looked quite confused. None of them had expected this. Everyone thought that Zhao Fu came from the holy world or even the celestial world. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to have such terrifying potential. As almighty beings, they could easily destroy a small kingdom like Zhao Fu's. If someone invited them to such a small kingdom, they would feel disdain to go. Now that Zhao Fu was their man, they could only follow Zhao Fu. If Zhao Fu brought them back, it would greatly increase Qin's power. If he brought them back, they would have many more almighties. Almighties were the strongest existences in the world. At that time, forget about the Eolan Empire or the Alliance. Qin would be able to fight the entire region alone. One almighty being could be used as a huge army. However, their injuries were very serious. Qin didn't have anything to help them recover. If they returned to Qin, their injuries would heal very slowly. Thus, Zhao Fu wanted them to stay in Spirit Realm. That way, their injuries would heal faster. Now that they didn't want to stay in Spirit Realm, Zhao Fu wouldn't force them. Once they returned to Qin, Zhao Fu would think of a way to heal their injuries. Yixin stood there, hesitating. She was different from other women. She hadn't slept with Zhao Fu yet, and she wasn't very familiar with Zhao Fu. She was hesitant about becoming Zhao Fu's woman. Zhao Fu looked at her and said with a smile, "Don't worry, I will treat you well in the future. I won't make you sad. Come back with me." Yixin looked at Zhao Fu, thought for a moment, and nodded. After that, Zhao Fu stayed here for a few more days. When Qin Yao and the others' injuries stabilized, he led them back to Qin. This trip to the spirit realm could be said to have ended perfectly. Zhao Fu had awakened the spirit race's Emperor Star, and he had resolved the abnormalities in his body. These were the main reasons why Zhao Fu had come to the spirit realm. Chapter 2586. Book 1, Chapter 31. More than a month later, Zhao Fu and others also returned to the Qin Empire. Countless people looked at Zhao Fu, who had finally returned from Spirit Realm, with joyful expressions. They gathered around Zhao Fu and welcomed Zhao Fu's return. Zhao Fu first made arrangements for Qin Yao and the other women to continue healing. Then, he returned to the main hall and listened to the officials report what had happened after he left. After Zhao Fu had left, the Eolan Empire and the Alliance had tried to attack Qin, but they had only done it on a small scale. They most likely wanted to test Qin's strength, and they had the support of many kingdoms in the inner regions of the ancient stem domain. After hearing about this, a trace of coldness appeared in Zhao Fu's eyes. Sooner or later, Qin would destroy the Eolan Empire, the allied factions, and the various inner regions of the ancient stem domain. Apart from what had happened in Qin City, nothing major had happened in other places, and everything was developing steadily. This made Zhao Fu feel at ease, and he smiled as he rewarded the officials. After he left Qin City, everything had been managed by the officials, and this was their credit. After dealing with the affairs of the Qin Empire, Zhao Fu personally went to the Divine Realm to see the development of the Pantheon. By now, a Pantheon Temple had become the largest faction in this area. There were no opponents in the surroundings, and they were expanding very quickly. They now had over 5,000 godly spirits, and having over 10,000 godly spirits would not have too many bodies. The Pantheon Palace had developed quite well, and many godly spirits had joined. As the Pantheon Palace's world-suppressing weapon, the 10,000 God Spear gave off even more divine power than before. Now, the divine power that the 10,000 God Spear had was the same as Zhao Fu's divine power as a sovereign. After seeing the Pantheon Palace, Zhao Fu did not forget about the goddesses. They had been waiting for Zhao Fu to return, and they greatly missed Zhao Fu. After comforting them, Zhao Fu went to the underworld. The Yellow Springs Queens immediately held up Zhao Fu and asked Zhao Fu to stay with them for a while before letting Zhao Fu leave to see how the Yellow Springs was developing. The Yellow Springs was not too surprised, and they were already the most powerful faction in this region. They had not met any opponents and quickly developed. This was especially so because they now had 5 billion or so Yellow Springs soldiers. The Yellow Springs soldiers controlled the corrupted Yellow Springs power and were more powerful than ordinary ghost soldiers. Looking at these Yellow Springs soldiers, Zhao Fu went to the depths of the Yellow Springs. After so long, he wondered how the 10 skeleton cavalrymen were doing. Zhao Fu stood above the massive yellow springs and sensed the 10 skeleton cavalrymen's existences. They were all sitting cross-legged at the bottom of the yellow springs with their skeleton horses beside them. They seemed to be covered by a black circle, and boundless yellow springs' power flooded into their bodies. Now, the soul flames in their skulls had turned a blackish-yellow color, and their bones had turned a jade-black color. Their armor and weapons had also turned a blackish-yellow color, and they now emitted a decaying, filthy, and terrifying aura of death. Their strength had reached the peak of the divine realm and would be able to break through to the Emperor Heaven realm soon. This definitely made Zhao Fu feel quite surprised. Apart from the people Zhao Fu had brought back from outside, such as Qing Yao and the others, they were all quite powerful, and the highest cultivation among those who had been by Zhao Fu's side was at the world realm. Even though they could not compare to a monster like Zhao Fu, in other people's eyes, they were becoming stronger incredibly quickly. For the 10 skeleton cavalrymen to be able to catch up to Zhao Fu's Emperor Heaven realm cultivation was quite shocking. After all, they had only been 10 ordinary skeleton cavalrymen before, and they had relied on Zhao Fu's power to continuously break through and grow to where they were now. The 10 Emperor Heaven realm skeleton cavalrymen would be of great help to Qin because the highest cultivation in the boundary regions was only at the world realm. Emperor Heaven realm experts were already incredibly powerful existences. After looking at the 10 skeleton cavalrymen with satisfaction, Zhao Fu went to the depths of the underworld. This was where Zhao Fu cultivated the reincarnation path. The reincarnation path here had been personally created by Zhao Fu, and it was not the Heaven Awakened world's 6 paths of reincarnation, but the 9 paths of reincarnation. It was a reincarnation path created by fusing Zhao Fu's 9 types of powerful powers. Apart from the chaos path and alchemy path, which relied on 2 types of bloodline powers, the other 7 paths relied on Zhao Fu's Emperor Star's power. The 9 paths of reincarnation was a crystal disc with 9 rings on it, and it was now thousands of meters wide. It slowly spun and gave off a massive reincarnation power. The reincarnation dimension was enshrouded in 9 different lights. The souls lined up in rows and floated towards the 9 paths reincarnation in the air. These souls were all in the form of shadows. They retained their appearances when they were alive. Among them were the elderly, children, men, and women. Their eyes were empty, and their expressions were dull. Their movements were quite stiff, as if there was a power controlling them. This was the rule that Zhao Fu had set down. Because these souls would immediately enter the reincarnation path to be reincarnated. In order to avoid any trouble, Zhao Fu stipulated that after entering the reincarnation space, their bodies and consciousness would be controlled by the reincarnation power. That way, they would be able to be reincarnated in an orderly manner. As such, the scene before them had appeared. Now, the 9 paths of reincarnation could allow thousands of people to be reincarnated in a day. This seemed like a lot, with thousands in a day, tens of thousands in 10 days, and hundreds of thousands in 100 days. However, Qin was a massive empire with hundreds of billions of people, and it was currently at war. A few thousand people was not enough. However, the 9 paths of reincarnation was continuously growing, and there were 3 ways to increase its power. The first was from the ruins of En Below. The second was from the mortal world where Qin resided. And the third was to rely on the 9 paths of reincarnation to increase its power by allowing countless souls to be reincarnated. Zhao Fu believed that one day, the people of Qin would be reincarnated in Qin after they died. After these souls entered the 9 paths of reincarnation, they needed to stay in the 9 paths of reincarnation for a period of time. Their souls would return to their origin, and the memory and power of their previous lives would disappear. Only in this way could they be reincarnated. Some powerful people could retain some of their memories and power. They entered different Daos. The human clan entered the human clan. The alien clan entered the alien clan. The devil clan entered the devil clan. The celestial clan entered the divine clan. And the monster clan entered the monster clan. In the future, when they reincarnated, they would be born in the corresponding race. The souls that entered the human path would be born in the human race. The souls that entered the demonic path would be born in the demon race. And the souls that entered the divine path would be born in the God race. Now, there were 5 races that could not enter the cycle of reincarnation after death. The first was the spirit race, and the second was the water race. Great Qin had many subjects, but Zhao Fu had not built paths for them, so they could not enter the cycle of reincarnation. Zhao Fu had not built paths for them yet, so they could not enter the cycle of reincarnation. Chapter 2587. Book 1. Chapter 32. There were also the alchemist race and the chaos race. Even though Zhao Fu had constructed their paths, and Zhao Fu had their people and territories, their reincarnations did not belong to Qin and instead belonged to their worlds. This was because Zhao Fu had only taken over their territories and people and had not fused them into Qin, so Qin could not do anything about it. Right now, Qin did not have the ability to fuse the territories of the 2 worlds. Zhao Fu and the others had entered the other worlds through the war gates and had not come into contact with the 2 worlds. This was a very dangerous thing, and it was possible that they would be detected by the consciousnesses of the 2 worlds. That would be incredibly terrifying, as they were worlds on the same level as the Heaven Awakened world. If they detected them, Zhao Fu would not even know how he died, and no one would be able to stop them. The last was the card race. Zhao Fu also had territories and people in the card world, but he had not fused with their territories or constructed their paths. There was no need to explain why he had come here. Zhao Fu had come to construct paths related to the spirit race. Now that he had awakened the spirit race's Emperor Star, he could use its power to construct paths, and in the future, the spirit race would be able to reincarnate. Zhao Fu flew in front of the massive 9 paths of reincarnation and slowly closed his eyes. The spirit race's Emperor Star gave off intense starlight, and a massive wave of Emperor Star's power continuously flowed into Zhao Fu's body. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and pushed outwards. A massive wave of power that seemed to rule over all creatures flowed out of Zhao Fu's palm and into the 9 paths of reincarnation. The 9 paths of reincarnation stopped spinning and gave off an intense light. Sensing this wave of spirit energy, it felt incredibly happy. The reincarnation formation on the crystal disc, which was made up of 9 rings, gave off an even more brilliant light. As Zhao Fu continuously sent in the spirit race's Emperor Star's power, the reincarnation formation started to change. The lines spread out, turning into a reincarnation formation with 10 rings. The 10th ring also started to nurture a world, and Zhao Fu continued to send massive amounts of Emperor Star power into it. The world that was being nurtured became faster and faster, and it finally took shape. This was a world with blue skies and white clouds, green mountains and clear waters, lush green grass, gurgling streams, fluttering butterflies and dancing birds, and hundreds of beasts frolicking. This world was very beautiful and full of spirituality. It belonged to the good Tao. Zhao Fu withdrew his hand in satisfaction. Then, enduring the pain, he split off a sliver of his soul essence and fused it with this world. Don't forget, Zhao Fu was also nurturing the 9 paths demon statues, similar to the 6 paths demon statues. Not only would they grow with the 9 paths reincarnation, they would also possess power as great as the 6 paths demon statues. Moreover, they would be able to suppress these 9 worlds and stabilize their laws and power. Now, it should not be the 9 paths reincarnation, but the 10 paths reincarnation. Now, that there was another spirit Tao, Zhao Fu had to split off a sliver of his soul essence and fuse it into the spirit Tao demon statue. Zhao Fu casually checked the situation of the other 9 paths reincarnation demon statues and found that they were not progressing very quickly. The 9 strands of soul essence were still hazy orbs of light, absorbing the world's power. It would take a very long time for them to form, and if he wanted them to become powerful, he would need many worlds. Zhao Fu was not in a rush. He could wait. He was still young, only 30 or so years old, while Zhao Fu's lifespan was 10,000 years old. Even if Zhao Fu did not cultivate or eat any spirit items that increased his lifespan, Zhao Fu would be able to live for 10,000 years. This was mainly because of Zhao Fu's shocking bloodline and constitution. Without his bloodline and constitution, Zhao Fu definitely would not have been able to live for so long. However, lifespan was not very important to Zhao Fu, as Zhao Fu had already created the 10 Paths reincarnation. After he died, he could directly reincarnate. As the owner of the 10 Paths reincarnation, Zhao Fu could preserve all of his memories and source of power. It could be said that Zhao Fu was now an undying existence. It was not just Zhao Fu. After Qin and the others died, Zhao Fu could also allow them to reincarnate, allowing them to preserve all of their memories and source of power. This was the great benefit of creating the 10 Paths reincarnation. Of course, the prerequisite for all of this was that one had to have a soul. If one's soul turned into nothingness, one would not be able to reincarnate. After creating the Spirit Path reincarnation, the 8 major races only lacked the Water Race's Imperial Star, and Zhao Fu still needed him to create the Water Path reincarnation. As for how to awaken the Water Race's Imperial Star, Zhao Fu did not have any ideas, and he could not be in a rush. After all, Zhao Fu had only awakened the rarest spirit race's Imperial Star, and it would take some time for him to awaken the Water Race's Imperial Star. Zhao Fu had a feeling that it would not take too long. After dealing with the 10 Paths reincarnation, Zhao Fu left the Heaven-Awakened world and went to the outer world to take a look. Ericina and the other women had been waiting for Zhao Fu for a long time, and Zhao Fu smiled at them and rewarded them. Zhao Fu had left the base in the outer world to them to manage, and they had put in a lot of effort and hard work. Zhao Fu felt that the outer world did not have much room for development. There were countless insects, and the Chaos race did not have many people. Even if they occupied a large amount of land, it would be useless. If there were some mines, they could mine them, but if there was no value, Qin did not want to care. The bloodthirsty mosquitoes that Zhao Fu was concerned about were developing quite well, and there were hundreds of millions of them. Each of them was 3 meters long and had stage 2 strength. Adding on the alchemy power, they were much stronger than ordinary stage 2 soldiers. Qin could not feed so many bloodthirsty mosquitoes, as they required large amounts of blood to survive. As such, Qin started to use the bloodthirsty mosquitoes to attack some insects, which was quite effective. Not only did he reduce the number of casualties among Qin's soldiers, but he also fed them to the bloodthirsty mosquitoes. Zhao Fu wanted to use them in the war against the alchemy world because the outer world's creatures could suppress the alchemy world's creatures. However, there were not many of them, only a few hundred million. Right now, the alchemy world had to mobilize billions of soldiers, and they had to sacrifice stage 2 soldiers. After thinking about it, the bloodthirsty mosquito's development speed was quite good. Before he had left, there had only been tens of millions, and now there were hundreds of millions. Zhao Fu did not care about them, and allowed them to continue developing. Zhao Fu left these matters to Xueji, as she was the bloodthirsty mosquito king. Zhao Fu did not plan to focus on the outer world's development anymore, as there were too few benefits there. He only allowed it to develop at a normal speed, and Zhao Fu would withdraw some of the soldiers there and send them to the alchemy world and the card world. These 2 worlds would become the focus of Great Qin's development because they would be able to obtain the most benefits from these 2 worlds, and they would far surpass other worlds. Chapter 2588. Book 1, Chapter 33. Following this, Zhao Fu went to the alchemy world. Wang Jian had been waiting there for a long time. Zhao Fu had left everything in the alchemy world to him. This place was developing quite well. It was becoming more and more powerful, and the number of alchemy divine beasts raised had also increased. The most powerful alchemy divine beast that Zhao Fu cared about, the ancient weapon god, had also made great progress. A few hours later, Zhao Fu flew above a place. The plants and ground here were all black, and there were traces of blood-red aura. It was quite terrifying. Roar! A massive roar sounded out as a 1,000-meter-tall humanoid monster excitedly ran in front of Zhao Fu. It had a muscular body, 6 blood-red eyes, a mouth full of fangs, and hands that were like sharp claws. This terrifying monster was like a docile dog in front of Zhao Fu. It seemed to like Zhao Fu and did not look ferocious at all. He was the weapon grandmaster, the one who controlled the ancient weapon god. Back then, Zhao Fu had specially given him a region so that he could raise the ancient weapon god. The weapon grandmaster could not speak, and his intelligence was not very high. Apart from being bigger and stronger, there did not seem to be any other changes. Looking at the excited weapon grandmaster, Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Where is the ancient weapon god that I asked you to raise? I want to take a look." The weapon grandmaster roared in understanding. Boom, 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 boom. Massive explosions sounded out as massive creatures with terrifying auras rushed toward Zhao Fu. The ground shook violently, and dust rose up. After the dust settled, monsters that were hundreds of meters tall and had human bodies and powerful muscles appeared. They had 6 blood-red eyes, mouths full of fangs, and claws for hands and feet that were like sharp claws. Zhao Fu looked at the shrunken weapon grandmaster and looked slightly disappointed. This was the ancient weapon god that he had painstakingly raised. There were only a few hundred of these ancient divine weapon gods. Even though they looked terrifying, they were still quite afraid of the person in the sky. They instinctively felt that this person was more than 100 times more terrifying than a weapon grandmaster. Zhao Fu took out an ordinary sword and said calmly, "Tell them to attack me. Let me see their strength." The weapon grandmaster roared, but the ancient divine weapons did not dare to attack a terrifying being like Zhao Fu. The weapon grandmaster roared again, and the ancient divine weapons began to attack Zhao Fu. The first dozen ancient weapon gods charged at Zhao Fu, their claws glinting with a cold light. Clang! Zhao Fu expressionlessly swung the sword in his hand, and a sword light instantly slashed out, bringing with it a sharp sword wind. The 10 or so ancient god soldiers were cut in half at the waist, but no blood flowed out. However, in the next second, the ancient god soldiers who had been cut in half fused back together. Seeing this, Zhao Fu's expression did not change. After all, weapon grandmasters had undying power, and these ancient divine weapons had also inherited weapon grandmasters' power. The 10 or so ancient weapon gods continued to rush at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's pupils dilated, and a massive power blasted the 10 or so ancient weapon gods to the ground, causing them to heavily smash into the ground and open up 10 or so craters. The ancient divine weapons gave off terrifying auras and also attacked Zhao Fu and Zhao Fu. Some rushed at Zhao Fu from the front, some from behind Zhao Fu, some from Zhao Fu's left, some from Zhao Fu's right, and some from below Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu gripped the sword in his hand and sent a massive wave of power into it. The sword gave off an intense sword light and an incredibly dangerous aura. Clang! A sword hum sounded out as Zhao Fu swung the sword in his hand. Countless sword lights slashed out like a wild storm, cutting the ancient divine weapons into countless pieces. They were unable to resist at all, and they fell to the ground like raindrops. Zhao Fu felt even more dissatisfied after dealing with the ancient divine weapons so easily. Even though Zhao Fu was far more powerful than them and would definitely defeat them, and they were not weak either, they could not meet Zhao Fu's expectations. Before, Zhao Fu had raised them as powerful tools for Qin. An ancient divine weapon like this would have no problem dealing with ordinary Gold Refiner race members, but it would not be a match for Gold Refiner race members with powerful techniques. The weapon grandmaster could sense Zhao Fu's disappointment and furiously roared. If Zhao Fu was disappointed in the ancient divine weapon, he would not nurture him, and his good days would come to an end. Hearing the weapon grandmaster's roar, the countless pieces on the ground quickly gathered together and continuously fused. In the end, they formed a 1,000-meter-tall ancient divine weapon with 2 faces, powerful muscles, and sharp claws. It gave off a monstrous and twisted aura. The fused ancient divine weapon no longer felt as much fear toward Zhao Fu. It roared and its claws gave off shocking destructive power as they slammed towards Zhao Fu, bringing with them an intense wind. Bang! Zhao Fu looked at the incoming ancient divine weapon and felt a trace of interest. He blocked with his sword, and a massive claw slammed into the sword. A massive force spread out, but Zhao Fu did not move at all. The ancient divine weapon looked quite startled and furiously raised its 4 massive claws, smashing them down towards Zhao Fu with mountain-crushing power. They were incredibly terrifying, and it seemed as if they could smash Zhao Fu into mincemeat. Zhao Fu raised his head and calmly looked at the incoming claws. A massive wave of power spread out, forming a black dragon-inscribed defensive barrier. Boom! A massive sound rang out as the 4 claws smashed against the defensive barrier with terrifying power, causing a ferocious wind to blow out in all directions. Crack! A clear sound rang out as a few cracks appeared on the defensive barrier. Zhao Fu looked quite confused, but in the next moment, Zhao Fu looked at the ancient divine weapon. Even though it had become much more powerful, it was still not enough to meet Zhao Fu's requirements. Zhao Fu raised a sword and a massive sword light containing terrifying power slashed out, forcing the ancient divine weapon back. The ancient divine weapon retreated for 10 or so seconds and half-squatted on the ground. There was a massive wound on its chest, but no blood flowed out of it. The immense pain caused the ancient divine weapon to look savage. Its blood-red eyes cruelly looked at Zhao Fu as the wound on its chest quickly healed. Shing! The sound of metal clashing could be heard as the ancient divine weapon vigorously grabbed out with its hand. Countless traces of alchemy power flooded into its hand and continuously condensed, forming a massive metal sword. A massive wave of power flowed into it, causing the metal sword to give off a faint sword light. Zhao Fu looked quite startled. The power that the ancient divine weapon used was the Emperor's power that he had just used. This ancient divine weapon could absorb his power and turn it into its own. Boom! Boom! Chapter 2589. Book 1, Chapter 34. Boom. The ancient heavenly armament god vigorously swung its massive sword, and a terrifying sword energy slashed out, seeming to be able to destroy everything. It also brought with it an intense sword chi storm, and trees, ground, flowers, grass, and stones were all blown away by the sword wind. Facing such a terrifying attack, Zhao Fu used his true power. His eyes gave off a divine light as he slowly raised the sword in his hand, sending a wave of origin energy into the sword. The space around the sword started to twist, as if it was unable to withstand this power. Shing! A clear sound rang out as Zhao Fu slashed down with his sword. A formless sword light cut the terrifying sword energy and sword wind in half, turning into countless streams of air that spread out. Zhao Fu was not harmed at all. The twisted, ancient weapon god looked quite confused. He had never thought that such a powerful attack would not be able to harm the person in front of him at all. Just as he was about to continue attacking, Zhao Fu gave a pleased smile as he said, "Enough. Stop." The twisted, ancient weapon god ferociously ignored everything else and raised his massive metal sword, preparing to slash towards Zhao Fu. The weapon god, next to him, furiously tried to stop him. However, Zhao Fu only coldly glanced at the twisted, ancient weapon god. That terrifying gaze caused the weapon god's body to freeze, and he felt his surroundings sink into darkness. A wave of terror flowed out of his heart, causing him to kneel on the ground and tremble. The weapon god was also quite afraid of Zhao Fu, and he did not dare to breathe too loudly. Zhao Fu flew over to the twisted, ancient weapon god and stretched out a hand, sending a wave of divine tear energy into the top of his head. The ancient weapon god instinctively absorbed this wave of energy, and his body gave off a wave of divine tier energy. Seeing this, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and sent another wave of origin energy into the twisted ancient weapon god's body. However, when this wave of energy entered the twisted ancient weapon god's body, the ancient weapon god cried out in pain. He was unable to fuse with this wave of energy. Zhao Fu pulled his hand back in disappointment. The ancient divine armament not only had an undying power, but it also had the power to devour others. At most, it could devour Saint Tier power. It could not devour Essence power. This kind of power was actually already very powerful, because Holy Tier power was currently the strongest power in the weather world, and Origin power was almost impossible to see. Moreover, they could also use powerful alchemy power to condense different things according to their needs. They could even metallize a part of their body. Now, Zhao Fu felt that the ancient weapon gods were quite powerful, and they met Zhao Fu's requirements. However, there weren't many of them, only a few hundred. This twisted ancient weapon god was formed from hundreds of them, and they could split at any time and return to their original forms. Zhao Fu looked at the weapon grandmaster. Stay here and continue nurturing the ancient divine weapon. I'll provide all the resources you need. The weapon grandmaster heaved a sigh of relief. He nodded happily like a silly child. After seeing the ancient divine weapon gods that he cared about the most, Zhao Fu went to the Hua family to have a look. He comforted the women before going to the card world. Back in the spirit realm, Zhao Fu had obtained a method to create spirit orbs, and he had used this as inspiration to awaken the spirit race's imperial star. Back then, Zhao Fu had felt that this method could be used in the card world to create a powerful group of elemental knights for Qin. The most powerful thing in the card world was a cavalry army. Zhao Fu had seen how powerful they were, and he had always wanted to nurture his own cavalry army. Zhao Fu called over 12 female knights. They had been the elders of the Knights Guild, and they had different attributes of light, darkness, water, earth, fire, and ice. Zhao Fu had given them the task of building the elemental knights. Seeing that Zhao Fu had finally returned, they smiled happily. They had missed this man very much. Zhao Fu first asked them about the situation of building the elemental knights. Eileen replied, "We've already built the elemental knights, but because of the limitations of relics and people, there are only 200,000 of them." Only 200,000? Zhao Fu thought to himself. This was too little and would not be of much use for now. Eileen looked at Zhao Fu's disappointed expression and said, "If we just build a normal cavalry army instead of an elemental knight army, we could build a 1 million cavalry army. However, their strength would be the same as a normal cavalry army." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "It's okay. Qin needs a powerful cavalry army. If you need anything, just tell Tina Pendragon. She'll satisfy all of your needs." Now, Zhao Fu had handed over the management of the card world to Tina Pendragon. Eileen and the others smiled as they said, "Thank you, Your Majesty." Zhao Fu continued to say, "This time I brought back something interesting. It should be of some help to you." Eileen asked curiously, "What is it?" Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and started to condense the elemental power in the card world according to the method of condensing spirit orbs. Zhao Fu had obtained the Night King's power, so it was quite easy for him to control elemental power. At first, Zhao Fu gathered light elemental essence, and countless motes of light appeared in the surroundings before gathering in Zhao Fu's hand. They continuously changed, and the surrounding light elemental essence continuously flowed into them. In the end, they formed a white orb that gave off a wave of light elemental essence. Because Zhao Fu had awakened the spirit race's Emperor Star, the spirit race's Emperor Star could give all sorts of item spirituality. As such, the light elemental orb that was condensed had quite a bit of spirituality. Now, the elemental orbs that Zhao Fu had fused with were no longer the pseudo-spirit orbs, but true spirit orbs. They were low-grade elemental orbs and were quite valuable. Very few people in the spirit realm could condense elemental orbs so easily, and Zhao Fu had only been able to do so because he had the spirit race's Emperor's Star. Eileen asked curiously, "What is this? I feel that its elemental power isn't weak at all." Zhao Fu explained, "These are elemental orbs that I created using a method of the spirit realm. You can fuse them into your bodies and see how they'll be of use to you." Following this, Zhao Fu handed the light elemental orb to the Radiant Knights and gathered 11 other elements before giving them to the women. The Radiant Knights sat cross-legged on the ground and refined the elemental orbs into their bodies. Waves of powerful elemental power flowed into their bodies, and sensing the changes in their bodies, the women all smiled in delight. It seemed that these elemental orbs would be of great help to them. A while later, the women opened their eyes. Zhao Fu asked, "How is it?" The women happily said, "Thank you, Your Majesty. This type of elemental essence is of great help to us. Not only can it strengthen our elemental power, but it can also help us cultivate. It's definitely a top-notch treasure in the card world." Chapter 2590. Book 1, Chapter 335. Hearing their words, Zhao Fu gave a pleased smile. Elemental orbs were quite useful to them, which meant that they could mass-produce them and use them to create Elemental Cavalry Corps. That way, the Elemental Cavalry Corps would be quite powerful. This would solve the problem of having too many people in a cavalry corps. After all, the people in a cavalry corps had to be the most outstanding out of all soldiers, not just in terms of talent, but also in terms of strength and battle experience. Now that there were many battles going on, the veterans would definitely have a lot of battle experience. What they lacked were talented and powerful soldiers. In terms of talent, Zhao Fu could not help them. Even though there were grade pills that could increase one's grade, there were people from the card world and could not use grade pills from the Heaven Awakened world. The matter of talent could be solved in the future. Right now, elemental orbs could give soldiers great power, which made it possible for countless soldiers to form a cavalry corps. After solving the problem of people in the cavalry corps, the next problem was equipment. Cavalry corps needed top-tier materials to create artifacts, which would allow them to unleash terrifying attacks. Moreover, they also needed specialized horses. Zhao Fu thought for a moment before saying, "Help me prepare a few sets of cavalry equipment and horses." Eileen smiled as she said, Wait a moment." Now, they all understood that Zhao Fu was solving the various problems of cavalry corps. If they could form an elemental cavalry corps, they would naturally be the happiest people. After all, they were the ones in charge of the Elemental Cavalry Corps and had the most authority. Following this, Eileen brought a few sets of artifacts and a few horses. These artifacts and horses all had different attributes, and the auras they gave off were quite powerful. They were not things that ordinary equipment and horses could compare to. Elemental orbs had all sorts of effects. Not only could they be fused into a person's body to increase their strength, but they could also be socketed into equipment and fused into horses, simultaneously increasing the strength of the equipment and horses. People, equipment, and horses all had elemental orbs, which could increase the compatibility between the two sides and increase the cavalry corps' strength. However, these were all just Zhao Fu's guesses, and he was going to give them a try. Zhao Fu first condensed elemental orbs with different attributes. There was a white orb that gave off light, a black orb that gave off a dark light, a fire orb that gave off flames, and an azure orb that gave off an azure orb that floated above Zhao Fu's palm. There were 4 sets of artifacts in front: helmet, armor, gloves, boots, spear, short sword, 3 rings, a pendant, and a medallion, all of which gave off faint lights. Every relic was a whole, and there was a connection between them. Zhao Fu waved his hand, and the 4 elemental orbs flew above the relic before slowly descending and fusing into the armor. The 4 sets of relic gave off different intense lights. Zhao Fu smiled as he condensed a few more elemental orbs and fused them into the horses. As expected, after the horses obtained the elemental orbs, they became much more powerful. Zhao Fu then asked Eileen and the others to put on the artifacts and ride the horses to see how it felt. Eileen and the others obeyed and put on the artifacts. They rode the horses and started to gallop around the field, and they also unleashed a few attacks. They then came before Zhao Fu with smiles on their faces. Your Majesty, the feeling now is completely different from before. It feels like we, the artifacts and the horses, have fused into one. The artifacts are more comfortable, and the horses are more obedient. Most importantly, with the three of them, our strength has increased. Zhao Fu smiled as he nodded. Now that you have elemental orbs, you can form an elemental cavalry corps in a short period of time. Eileen smiled as she said, "This is all thanks to your Majesty. Without your Majesty, we wouldn't have been able to do this." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Later, I'll build a magic formation platform to create elemental orbs. Also, force out the low-grade elemental orbs from your bodies, and I'll personally condense high-grade elemental orbs for you." The women said delightedly, "Thank you, your Majesty." Before, Zhao Fu could condense low-grade elemental orbs in a short period of time. If he used a bit more time, the elemental orbs he condensed would be even better, and the highest he could condense would be high-grade elemental orbs. As for elemental orbs like the Holy Spirit Orb, even with the Spirit Race's Emperor Star, Zhao Fu would not be able to create them. Holy Spirit orbs of that level had to be nurtured by the heavens and earth. Zhao Fu ordered people to start building a magic formation platform in the palace. Tina, Pendragon, Hillary, and the other women came to Zhao Fu's side. Building the magic formation platform would take a long time, so Zhao Fu stayed with them for a day. Zhao Fu looked at Hillary in his arms and asked about the Emperor Cavalry Corps. Before, Zhao Fu had asked Eileen to form an elemental cavalry corps and Hillary to form an Emperor Cavalry Corps. This Emperor Cavalry Corps was not an ordinary cavalry corps, nor was it an elemental cavalry corps. It was a cavalry corps created from Zhao Fu's Night King seal. Zhao Fu was the owner of this cavalry corps, but Zhao Fu did not have time to manage it, so he left it all to Hillary. Hillary sighed. There's been no progress at all. The requirements for the Emperor Cavalry Corps are too high, and there are only a few hundred people in the entire faction who meet the requirements. There's no way to form a cavalry corps. Not only do we lack people, but we also don't have treasures or suitable horses. Zhao Fu thought about how the Emperor Cavalry Corps was the top cavalry corps in the card world and had the power to destroy the world, so the requirements would definitely be very high. The Emperor Cavalry Corps required a person with a pure sovereign bloodline to form a Night King seal. Zhao Fu's bloodline was the Origin bloodline, so he should be able to form an Origin Cavalry Corps. This would be even stronger than the legendary Saint Cavalry Corps in the card world. Zhao Fu could not be anxious about forming such a terrifying cavalry corps. Zhao Fu suddenly thought about the Emperor Demon Horse stones that he had obtained in the spirit realm. These Emperor Demon Horse stones could produce many Emperor Demon Horses. These Emperor Demon Horses all had Emperor power and were top-tier horses. Zhao Fu could use these horses here. Qin did not lack horses, so he would be able to solve the problem of horses for the Emperor Cavalry Corps. Thinking to there, Zhao Fu prepared to use the Emperor Demon Horse stones. At that moment, a handsome-looking young man led an army to take down a city. This army belonged to the Kingdom of Locke that Zhao Fu was in. While Zhao Fu had not been around, Tina Pendragon had been commanding the army to fight everywhere, causing the Kingdom of Locke to become stronger and stronger. The fate that they had from the card world had also become stronger and stronger. This handsome-looking young man had taken down a city, causing the Kingdom of Locke's territory to become as big as a world. Chapter 2591. Scroll 1. Chapter 36. Boom. A massive explosion sounded out as all of the Locke Kingdom's fate flooded towards Zhao Fu within the palace, continuously entering Zhao Fu's body. A powerful aura spread out from Zhao Fu's body, causing the women around Zhao Fu's expressions to fall. They quickly left Zhao Fu's side and looked at the scene in confusion, not knowing what was going on. At that moment, countless traces of black light shot out from between Zhao Fu's eyebrows, and a black mark that looked like a black dragon crown appeared. Hillary and the other women felt a massive pressure, and their bodies uncontrollably half-knelled on the ground. That was the Night King's seal that Zhao Fu had condensed. Zhao Fu felt quite surprised and did not know that the Night King's seal would suddenly change like this. All of the fate that flowed into Zhao Fu's body was absorbed by the Night King's seal, which became more and more powerful and gave off countless rays of intense black light. After a while, the fate that flowed into Zhao Fu's body disappeared, and the Night King's seal's power disappeared as well. The seal returned to Zhao Fu's forehead. The women let out a sigh of relief and went up to ask what had happened. Zhao Fu examined the Night King's seal and said, "The Night King's seal has leveled up. Looks like it needs to conquer more territory to become more powerful." Hillary smiled as she said, "Congratulations. The more powerful the Night King's seal is, the more power you will have. As your knights, we will also become more powerful." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. The reincarnation disc was still missing a card Dao, and he could use the Night King seal as a foundation to create a card Dao. The Night King seal was one of the most powerful cards in the card world, so it should have this ability. However, it was still too weak, and the reincarnation disc did not have much of a reaction to it. Zhao Fu needed to level up its power before he could use it to create a card Dao. That way, the card world's Dao would be solved. In the future, if he could devour more territory in the card world, the card world's residents will be able to reincarnate in the Heaven Awakened world. Putting this matter aside, Zhao Fu went to an empty area and took out a red, jade-like orb. This was the Emperor Demon Horse Stone. It could not be used in the card world yet, as it was an item from the Heaven Awakened world. However, this was not a problem for Zhao Fu. After awakening the spirit race's Emperor's Star, Zhao Fu had a new understanding of the laws, and his control over laws had become much more powerful. Zhao Fu sent a wave of power into the Emperor Demon Horse Stone, and the red orb flew into the air. The Tai Chi pupil in his right eye suddenly widened, and a Tai Chi diagram appeared below the red orb. Zhao Fu's Qi Dao. A massive explosion sounded out as the Tai Chi diagram started to spin. The surrounding elemental energy flooded into the Tai Chi diagram, and the Tai Chi diagram gave off powerful elemental energy, forming a massive might that covered the surroundings. Qi Chun Zhao Qi. Fu's Qi Li Chun Chun. Y1. Fu repeat. The Dao Zhao Zhao Fu Fu of the two Li demon. The Tai Chi diagram in the sky gave off an even more powerful aura, and threads stretched out from the Tai Chi diagram, slowly stabbing into the red orb. The red orb gave off an intense red light, and its aura quickly changed. Now, Zhao Fu wanted to change the Emperor Demon Horse Stone's laws and fuse them into the card world's laws. That way, the Emperor Demon Horse Stone would not only be able to be used in the Heaven Awakened world, but it could also be used in the card world. The threads that stretched out from the Taiji diagram continuously poured into the red sphere, and the intense light that the red sphere gave off started to slowly change. Its color became a little fainter, and a mark that looked like a horse slowly appeared in the middle. Zhao Fu retracted his power, and the Tai Chi diagram in the sky dissipated. The Emperor Demon Horse Stone slowly returned to Zhao Fu's hand. Zhao Fu held the Emperor Demon Horse Stone and pressed it against the ground. Waves of red light spread out, and the red stone slowly fused into the ground. At the same time, Zhao Fu also poured his origin energy into it. Boom! Countless rays of light shot out from the ground, and Zhao Fu retreated a few steps. He saw a platform made of red jade slowly rise up from the ground. It was 10 meters wide and round, and there was a red stone floating at the center of the platform. Whiz! A neigh sounded out as a tall and powerful horse appeared in front of Zhao Fu, giving off a powerful saint-level aura. The horse's body was snow white, and it had 2 long horns on its head. It had a pair of eyes, and its mane and tail were red. Its hooves gave off traces of red aura, and it looked quite beautiful and devilish. It was the Emperor Demon Horse King. Ordinary young Emperor Demon horses had stage 5 strength, and adult Emperor Demon horses could reach stage 9 strength. As a horse king, it was even more powerful, reaching saint grade. Zhao Fu was quite satisfied with this. In the past, if Qin's wyverns did not have any power, they would only have stage 5 strength. Now that the young Emperor Demon Horse was already so powerful, if it fused with other powers in the future, it would become even more powerful. Zhao Fu planned to use this Emperor Devil Horse as his mount. After all, he was a man with a Night King's seal, and it was impossible for him to not have a mount. In the future, he might have to personally lead the Emperor's cavalry into battle. After dealing with this matter, Zhao Fu returned to the palace and started to set up a magic formation to condense the elemental beads. This required Zhao Fu's origin energy as the foundation, as the elemental beads relied on Zhao Fu's power to condense. Without Zhao Fu's power, it would be useless. Zhao Fu cut his wrist and let his blood flow out. He controlled the blood and condensed it into a blood stone, which would be the center of the magic formation. After setting up the magic formation, Zhao Fu started to activate it. Countless rays of light shot out from the stage, and countless elemental essences quickly gathered, forming an orb that gave off a powerful aura. Seeing that it could be condensed, Zhao Fu set up another magic formation. He needed equipment, people, and horses, and he needed a large number of elemental beads. The elemental beads condensed from a single magic formation were not enough, so he needed many more magic formations. After setting up the magic formations, Zhao Fu sent many soldiers to stand guard. This was now the most important place in the Lost Kingdom. After taking care of the matters in the card world, Zhao Fu returned to the Heaven Awakened world. After personally looking at the developments of the various factions, he had a clear understanding of his own strength. Zhao Fu felt that it was time to attack the Aeolian Empire. Zhao Fu gathered his subordinates and started to discuss, but the opinions of the subordinates were not unanimous. Some said that they could attack, while others said that they could not. They were mainly worried about the various royal kingdoms in the inner regions of the ancient stem domain. They had warned Qin that if they attacked the Aeolian Empire, they would definitely interfere. Qin felt great pressure from facing so many royal kingdoms, so some of the subordinates tried to persuade Zhao Fu not to attack and to develop in the card world and alchemy world first. Those two worlds are doing quite well. If you like Lord's Armament Conquers the Heavens, please collect. Lord's Armament Conquers the Heavens is the most popular right, the fastest updates. Chapter 2592. Book 1, Chapter 37. Zhao Fu didn't let his guard down. The kingdoms in the inner area were indeed a great threat. These kingdoms were the biggest obstacle to Qin destroying the Aeolian Empire. Without them, Qin would have destroyed the Aeolian Empire long ago. Should he listen to the suggestions of the ministers and focus on the development of the alchemy world and the card world? Zhao Fu thought about it and decided to attack the Aeolian Empire. With Qin's current strength, he should be able to catch them off guard. The most important thing was to break the stalemate between Qin and the Aeolian Empire. In addition, Zhao Fu had wanted to destroy the Aeolian Empire a long time ago, so Zhao Fu decided to attack the Aeolian Empire. Seeing that Zhao Fu had made up his mind, the ministers no longer tried to dissuade him. They started to discuss how to attack the Aeolian Empire. This time, Qin had to do his best. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to take down the Aeolian Empire. The Pantheon, Yellow Springs, the Card World, the Chaos World, and the Alchemy World were all gathering their forces quickly. These were the hidden forces of Qin, which others didn't know yet. Boom! 3 days later, Great Qin's army was completely gathered, and they gave off a massive aura that seemed to be able to conquer the world as they flooded towards the Wind God Empire. Everyone was shocked. The face of Feng Shunsha, the ruler of the Aeolian Empire, was very ugly. Although she was very strong now, she still felt a lot of pressure when facing the Qin Empire. Feng Shunsha immediately sent messengers to contact the Alliance, the kingdoms in the inner area, and most importantly, the First Aeolian Empire. As a kingdom in the middle area, the Aeolian Empire's basic forces had already reached Grade 3. If it weren't for the other forces holding them back, they would have destroyed the Qin Empire long ago and made the Aeolian Empire the most powerful existence. In fact, there was no need for Feng Shunsha to inform. All the forces had received the news immediately. They were paying close attention to Qin. The alliance was the most panicked. Qin finally couldn't hold back his wild ambition and wanted to destroy the Aeolian Empire. If the Aeolian Empire was destroyed, only the alliance and Qin would be left to resist. Although the alliance had many people, they weren't a match for Qin. Hurry up and tell us. What to do? What to do? We must stop Qin this time. We can't do the same thing as the Devil Horn Empire. It was all your fault last time. If we could unite, how could we not stop the ambition of the Qin Empire with so many troops? Think about the destroyed Devil Horn Empire. Its fate will be our fate. I'm afraid it won't be so easy this time. Since Qin decided to attack the Aeolian Empire, he definitely has full confidence. We won't be able to stop Qin. Back then, when the Devil Horn Empire, Qin, and Wind God were at odds with each other, we should have allied together to destroy Qin. That way, things wouldn't be like this. That's true. Back then, Qin was already quite terrifying. It's a pity that everyone thought that the Devil Horn Empire and Wind God would be able to tie him down, and they even thought that Qin would be destroyed by the two of them. Now that I think about it, it's quite laughable. Let's not talk about such nonsense and gather our forces. No matter what, we must stop Qin this time, or else we'll be next. Because the Tao cultivation sect had gone into seclusion, the ancient sword sect had madly grown over the past few years. Its strength now surpassed the Tao cultivation sect, and it had become the most powerful faction in the ancient stem domain. After his battle with Zhao Fu, the ancient sword sect master had greatly improved. He had broken through the world realm and had become an extreme divine realm expert. In the outer domains, this cultivation was quite high, as ordinary experts were only at the world realm. Now, the ancient sword sect master was known as the #1 person in the ancient stem domain. No one dared to offend him, and they all feared his existence. It was a pity that countless people did not know about Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's cultivation had long since reached the Emperor Heaven Realm, and he was one level higher than the ancient sword sect master. Adding on his various powers, Zhao Fu was invincible within the Emperor Heaven Realm, and even Void Realm experts would not be able to suppress Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu could even insta-kill an extreme divine realm expert like the ancient sword sect master in a single move, but that was if the ancient sword sect master did not use his sect armament, the Eastern Flow Ancient Sword. As the #1 faction and expert in the ancient stem domain, after hearing about Qin attacking the Wind God domain, the ancient sword sect master arrogantly and coldly said, "Send down my orders, tell that Qin to stop attacking, or else you will have to bear the consequences." Hearing this, a disciple immediately turned and left to pass down the order to Qin. As the current legacy disciple of the ancient sword sect master, Jian Yin gave a trace of a cold smile. He had long since disliked Qin and even loathed Qin. This time, it was best to take this opportunity to destroy Qin. The Bear Mountain Kingdom's Xiong Xiao also greatly disliked Qin. At the start, he had chosen to help the Devil Horn Empire destroy Qin, but the Devil Horn Empire disappointed him and was destroyed by Qin in the end. Xiong Xiao gave off a killing intent as he said, "Father, I believe that Qin definitely cannot be left alive. We've all seen how terrifying he is, and this is a good opportunity to destroy him." The Bear Mountain Kingdom's king thought about it and did not hesitate. This Qin definitely cannot be left alive. I will immediately send troops over." Xiong Xiao smiled as he said, "Father, leave it to me this time. I will bring back Emperor Qin's head and countless peerless beauties in his harem to give to you." The king smiled as he said, "It's enough that you have such filial piety. I don't need any of that. Be careful and don't be careless." Xiong Xiao nodded, "I understand." After hearing about this, the 8 Sun Dragon sect's Long Yang immediately went to find his father and said, "Father, this Qin has been disrespectful to me many times. It's time for him to understand the consequences of offending our 8 Sun Dragon sect." The sect master looked at his son and did not object. This Qin's rate of growth was simply terrifying, and if it did not deal with this sort of faction, there would be endless troubles in the future. He smiled as he said, "I'll immediately send troops over to destroy Qin." A well-built man next to him evilly smiled and said, "Young sect master, when you go to destroy Great Qin, you must keep the women in Great Qin's harem. I've long since heard that there are many beauties in Great Qin's harem, and all of them are rare beauties. We can't waste them. Our 8 Sons Dragon sect needs them to cultivate." Another wretched old man also said with a smile, "I've been eyeing Qin's harem for a long time. My heart blossomed when I saw one from afar. If I could get one of them, I would be willing to shorten my life by 10 years. Unfortunately, Qin's palace is heavily guarded, and I have no way to sneak in." The handsome young man also exclaimed, "Although I have many women, few of them can be compared with the concubines in Qin's harem. I'm curious why there are so many beautiful women in Qin's harem." The wretched old man agreed and said, "I'm also curious about this. Why does Qin have so many beautiful women? How did Qin collect them? He seems to have captured all the beauties in the world." Chapter 2593, Book 1, Chapter 38, translated by Hypersheep 325, edited by Mike. Here they did not know that as Zhao Fu's women, as Zhao Fu's power and fate continuously increased, they were affected by Zhao Fu, causing their power and fate to greatly change. Adding on the Emperor Phoenix statue, which was a powerful divine item, all of the women in Qin's harem were nourished by Phoenix Qi, and there were also the effects of the flower domain and beauty spring. Even an ugly woman, with so much power, would become a beauty. Long Yang lightly laughed. "No problem. As long as we can break through the Qin Empire, I'll capture countless women for the sect's people to cultivate." The sect master understood and gave a trace of smile. He was also quite interested in Qin's women. The 8 beautiful women next to him glared at the sect master and said, "If you dare to find women apart from us, we'll ignore you in the future." The 8 Sun Dragon sect's legacy art required 8 princesses, and Long Yang had found 7 before. It was a pity that they had been taken by Zhao Fu. These 8 beautiful women were the sect master's 8 wives, and the big madam was Long Yang's mother. Seeing how angry the 8 wives looked, the sect master gave a brilliant smile as he said, "Don't worry, I definitely won't touch other women." Even though he said this, the sect master already planned to personally go to Qin to pick a few. After hearing about this, the Tao Cultivation sect decided to remain hidden. Unless Qin came to their doorstep, they would not interfere in anything. Now, they felt even more fear because they knew about that legendary emperor. Those 8 terrifying emperor stars had been summoned by him, and he had heavily injured the entire spirit domain, causing countless experts to fear him. In the eyes of the Tao Cultivation sect, the matters in the ancient stem domain were all small matters. When that terrifying person returned to the ancient stem domain, there would be mountains of corpses and rivers of blood. As such, they were not interested in anything else, nor did they want to compete with the ancient sword sect for first place. After all, there was no point. In the past, the Ice Origin Kingdom's Bing Qixue and Zhao Fu had some relations, but he found out that he was not willing to accept something, which was that the Ice Origin Kingdom had decided to attack Qin. This was because Great Qin's growth speed made them feel threatened. If Great Qin destroyed the Wind God Empire, the alliance would not be able to defend at all and would be destroyed. In the future, Great Qin would be able to fearlessly develop, and no one would be able to stop it in the future. After getting the news that Qin had destroyed the other scattered forces, he would definitely start to destroy the kingdom-level existences. There was no doubt about this. Although they didn't want to, they were destined to be enemies. Bing Qixue tried his best to dissuade them, but it was useless. The Ice Origin Kingdom's factions were already determined to destroy Great Qin, and they would not listen to Bing Qixue. In the end, Bing Qixue sighed and did not interfere in this matter. As for the Winecloud Kingdom and Greenwood Kingdom, they had 2 princesses who had become Qin's concubines, and this was a sort of alliance. Not only did they know that Qin was going to attack the Aeolian Empire, But they also knew that the ancient stem domain's royal kingdoms were also planning to attack Qin. Facing such a massive faction, Qin would be doomed. After all, the two of them would not be able to defeat so many factions. In the end, they decided not to help Qin, nor did they send soldiers to attack Qin. Instead, they sent out a few experts to wait for Qin to be broken through before rescuing the two princesses. Within the heavenly music sect, Ruoshi looked at the beautiful middle-aged woman beside her and asked softly, "Master, what should we do? Should we help Qin or destroy Qin together?" The beautiful middle-aged woman smiled as she said, "What do you think we should do?" Ruoshi thought about it and said, "I've seen the ruler of Qin before, and he's an extremely terrifying person. It's best not to offend such a person, and if you offend him, you must kill him, or else there will be endless troubles in the future. Now, all sides are attacking Qin, and it's possible that Qin will not be able to defend against them. It's best if we don't act. We won't help or send soldiers." The beautiful middle-aged woman looked at her and said, "You're right, but we can't just do nothing. Qin has countless secrets and powerful methods, and if we can obtain those, it will be of great help to our sect. As such, I'm sending you to obtain those things." Ruoshi said with a troubled expression, "Master, I might not be able to do it by myself. That ruler of Qin gives me a very dangerous feeling." The beautiful middle-aged woman smiled as she said, "I'll have a few of your junior apprentice sisters go with you. You don't have to directly fight with that ruler of Qin. After the various experts attack Qin, the first thing they'll do is to kill the ruler of Qin. Your goal is to take advantage of the chaos to obtain benefits. If anything goes wrong, immediately retreat and don't take risks." Ruoshi nodded, "I understand." Following this, a few women came over with smiles on their faces and excitement. One of them had a seductive figure and held a small drum, and she was called Li Huoying. One had a sweet appearance and held a pipa, and she was called Shui Ning. One had a flirtatious appearance and held a zither, and she was called Zhang Dongmei. One had a tall figure and a gentle and beautiful appearance and held a flute, and she was called Yulina. Li Huoying smiled as she said, "That ruler of Qin is going to suffer retribution. Who told him to harm so many women and lock them up in his harem? Those women are so pitiful. This time, we have to do justice on behalf of the heavens." Zhang Dongmei lightly nodded as she said, "If it's possible, we have to bring them out as well. It's best if we can bring them back to the heavenly music sect so that they won't be bullied by other stinky men. Senior apprentice sister, we heard that Qin has many treasures and things that can make people beautiful. This time, we have to obtain them," Shui Ning said happily. Ruoshi looked at them and did not say anything, but she felt a trace of worry in her heart. Finally, there was the Fiery Kingdom. Zhao Fu's old rival, Su Yank, had been paying attention to news about Qin. After hearing that all of the kingdoms were going to attack Qin, he understood that this was a great opportunity, so he directly told this to Zhao Fu's little brother, Li Baiqing. Li Baiqing had long since given up his identity as Great Tang's legatee and had become a member of the Fiery Kingdom's royal family. Hearing this, Li Baiqing's face was filled with hatred. He could only blame Zhao Fu for his current situation. He hated Zhao Fu to the bone, and his greatest wish was to kill Zhao Fu. As expected, Li Baiqing also told this news to the Fiery Kingdom's king and asked him to send him some troops. The Fiery Kingdom already had a great enmity with Qin, and this time, all of the kingdoms were going to attack Qin. Could a border kingdom resist so many kingdoms? The Fiery King thought for a moment before agreeing and sending some troops to Li Baiqing. However, the Fiery King was not careless. Although he only sent some troops, he sent a lot of experts. His goal was to kill Zhao Fu. Chapter 2594. Book 1. Chapter 39 translated by Hypersheep 325 edited by Mike. Here, it could be said that Qin's actions affected the entire ancient stem domain. Various factions sent soldiers to Qin, and soldiers could be seen gathering everywhere. The peaceful ancient stem domain became quite lively as everyone discussed this matter. Most people felt that Qin was doomed this time. Facing the various royal kingdoms and the local alliances, the Aeolian Empire's army was simply too massive. How could Qin defend against such a massive army? Qin also heard that the various factions had sent soldiers to attack Qin. No one was surprised, as they had long since expected this. However, facing such a massive army, Qin felt great pressure. However, even if Qin did not attack the Aeolian Empire, the various faction soldiers would not retreat. Qin could only fight with all his strength and let the world see Qin's strength. Right now, Qin still had a slight advantage, which was that he was quite close to the Aeolian Empire while the other royal kingdoms were quite far away. Even though they had hurried over, it would take them some time. Right now, they were mainly facing the Aeolian Empire and the allied forces. Qin's army moved quite quickly and split into two paths. One was to attack the Aeolian Empire, while the other was to stop the allied forces. The Aeolian Empire received news that the various royal kingdoms had sent out their armies, and they strengthened their defenses with all of their strength. They understood that as long as they could defend the Aeolian Empire, they would win. The alliance held a meeting to unite all of their forces. This time, they did not send 20 billion soldiers, but 80 billion soldiers, which was even more than Great Qin's current forces. Right now, Qin only had 70 billion soldiers, and this did not include the otherworld soldiers. The Aeolian Empire had 50 billion soldiers. Qin only sent 10 billion soldiers to stop the allied forces' 80 billion soldiers, which in the eyes of others was simply seeking death. Even though Qin's equipment was quite good and his strength was extraordinary, it would be difficult for him to defend against such a massive army. As for the remaining 60 billion soldiers, Qin chose to attack the Aeolian Empire. Qin's main force was personally led by Zhao Fu, and they had already reached the border of the Aeolian Empire. The Aeolian Empire was currently protected by a massive green barrier, and there were many soldiers standing on the city walls with serious expressions but resolute gazes. They understood that this might be their final battle against Qin. Feng Shensha stood on the city walls and looked at Zhao Fu seriously. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "How about you submit and become my concubine? I won't mistreat you." With Feng Shensha's personality of treating men like pets and slaves, this was a massive insult to her. She said mockingly, "You still have the guts to say such things even when you're about to die?" She said, "Zhao Zhao Zhao Qin, Qin, and Qin is, and Qin, Qin Qin, 1183. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Let's see who will win this battle." Feng Shensha's expression became even more serious. She could not understand how Qin could face the attacks of the various royal kingdoms so easily. The royal kingdoms all had stage 2 soldiers, and facing such a massive force, even if the Aeolian Empire died, they could not underestimate them. Zhao Fu did not waste any words and called out, "Attack! Roar! Roar! Roar!" Countless devil beasts gave off massive roars as countless traces of devil chi rose up from their bodies, condensing into massive balls of devil chi in front of them. They gave off shocking power and shot towards the Aeolian Empire. Boom! 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 Massive insect nest dragons flapped their wings in the sky, and terrifying light gathered in their mouths. They stretched out their heads and shot out countless beams of light, giving off an unstoppable aura as they shot towards the Aeolian Empire. Swish, swish, swish! Massive god beasts aimed their cannons at the Aeolian Empire, and massive beams of light shot out, bringing with them shockwaves. The beams of light filled the sky, creating a shocking scene. Bang! Bang! Deafening explosions sounded out as countless attacks landed on the green barrier, causing light to shoot out in all directions and powerful gales to blow. The barrier gave off countless rays of green light to defend against the attacks. Even though the attacks were blocked, the light was much dimmer and would most likely shatter before the next attack. Feng Shensha's expression was quite unsightly as she hurriedly had people activate the Wind Spirit God Magic Formation. A massive green magic formation appeared behind the Aeolian Empire, giving off massive wind. Ordinary people felt as if they were facing a typhoon. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as countless rays of green light shot out from the magic formation. The green light covered everything, making the Aeolian Empire seem to be covered in green light, and the dim barrier became brighter. Zhao Fu's expression did not change, and he once again ordered people to attack. Boom! 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 Countless devil chi bullets and beams of light containing terrifying power slammed against the barrier, but the green barrier seemed to fuse with the green light. The countless attacks slammed against it, but did not deal much damage, and the barrier became abnormally tough. Feng Xinsha gave a trace of a smile. In order to defend against Qin's attack, she had gone all out. It had been difficult for her to gather the wind spirit stones needed to maintain the magic formation. Seeing this, Zhao Fu frowned. Feng Xinsha ordered, "Activate the magic formation's second state." Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the massive magic formation started to spin and a destructive gale blew out from the Aeolian Empire. Trees were uprooted and countless boulders were sent flying. The ground was also ripped open, creating a terrifying scene. Facing this terrifying gale, Zhao Fu said, "Activate the defenses." The black-armored soldiers formed a massive formation, and countless rays of black light shined out, forming a massive black energy barrier that protected the entire army and blocked the terrifying hurricane. Feng Xinsha inwardly let out a sigh of relief. Her goal was not to attack Qin, but to delay Qin and the other royal kingdom's forces. Facing such a terrifying gale, Qin could not attack and could only defend. On the other side of the battlefield, by Qi's 10 billion soldiers and the Alliance's 80 billion soldiers met on a wasteland. Both sides gave off massive auras, causing the air in the surrounding thousands of kilometers to become heavy. The surroundings were incredibly silent, and not a single creature dared to make a sound. Because the Alliance had more people, the auras they gave off were even greater, and they felt more confident and pleased as they faced Qin's soldiers. A big man with a beard called out angrily, "Isn't Qin too arrogant? You dare to block us with so few people? Today we'll show Qin how powerful the Alliance is." Another handsome-looking young man loudly laughed as he said, "It's good that they have so few people. We can kill them all without paying too many casualties." Apex. Chapter 2595. Book 1, Chapter 40. A skinny young man shouted, "Brothers, we'll definitely win this time. After killing them all, we'll directly attack Qin. The beauties and treasures will belong to whoever can take them." A beautiful woman smiled as she said, "Now, I feel at ease. Qin will definitely perish this time, and we won't have to worry about Qin in the future. If we can also get rid of the Aeolian Empire, that would be even better." Bai Qi coldly looked at the experts in front of him and said, "Just a bunch of useless people. Don't waste time and attack." Hearing this, the Alliance experts felt quite startled. They had never thought that Bai Qi would dare to say such a thing, and some of the Alliance experts immediately gave the order to attack. Some of the experts felt quite startled. They had fought with Qin before, and Qin was not an idiot. Even if there was, it would not be this general in front of them. Since he was not an idiot and had said such words, Qin definitely had some terrifying methods. As such, they did not give the order to attack, and they chose to have others rush up to see what terrifying abilities Qin had. Kill! The Alliance soldiers wearing different colored armor roared as they gave off a massive aura and flooded towards Qin, seeming as if they could destroy everything. Seeing the army rushing over, Bai Qi's expression did not change as he coldly said, "Get into formation and activate the alchemy orbs." As he gave the order, Qin's soldiers raised their shields and came to the front, forming a shield wall. The spearmen held their spears and stood at the back, while the archers came to the back and drew their bows, forming a massive defensive formation. Many people wearing long robes appeared in the army. They raised their hands, and all of them emitted various kinds of metallic light. Boom! Boom! Massive explosions sounded out as waves of alchemy power flowed out of their hands. The massive amounts of alchemy power gathered in the sky, forming massive metal orbs that gave off terrifying auras. Looking at the metal orbs, some people disdainfully rushed forwards, while others felt that the situation was quite bad. Bai Qi ignored their reactions and said coldly, "Alchemy light." Boom, boom. A series of loud booms rang out as the metal balls flew even higher into the sky, giving off countless rays of light that enveloped the surroundings. Under this light, some of the Alliance soldiers did not sense anything strange and gave off powerful auras as they continued to charge at Qin. However, some of the soldiers looked terrified. They found that their bodies were being metallized, and they felt immense pain. They hurriedly used their body's power to resist this metallization. It wasn't just them. The bodies of the Alliance soldiers who didn't rush over, and even some experts started to turn into metal. What happened? At that moment, the Allied army started to panic. Suddenly, someone discovered that the metal power was coming from the alchemy stones in their bodies, and he angrily cursed, "Despicable Qin, trash Qin. Qin is a villain, and Qin is a bastard." The others who were not metallized immediately understood what was going on. An ordinary-looking woman angrily said, "Are you a bunch of pigs or a bunch of idiots? You dare to use Qin's Philosopher's Stone. Now you know your wrongs, right?" A fair-skinned young man said angrily, "I'm going to be angered to death by you. Back then, I warned you not to use the Philosopher's Stone, but you still used it because you coveted its power." The ugly-looking young man said angrily, "We knew that there might be hidden dangers, but we only used it after checking that there were no problems. I don't know what despicable methods Qin used to prevent us from discovering these problems." The chubby middle-aged man also said angrily, "Trash Qin, your elder definitely won't trust him in the future and won't use anything from him. I'm so angry." An elderly man said with an unsightly expression, "No wonder Qin was so confident and dared to use such a small force to defend against us. So he had long since planned this. Now that our advantage is gone, what should we do?" The Philosopher's Stone had been set up before Zhao Fu had gone to the spirit domain, and he had not even used it when destroying the Devilhorn Empire. This caused the Alliance's people to let down their guard and use the Philosopher's Stone in large numbers. Now that Qin had suddenly used the Philosopher's Stone, the Alliance had not expected it at all. Some of the metal-bodied soldiers used their own power to defend against the alchemy power, while others could not and fell to the ground, howling in pain. The army, which had been charging forward ferociously, fell into chaos because of this. Swish, swish, swish. Bai Qi once again gave the order to attack, and arrows shot out from behind Qin, drawing out arcs in the sky and raining down on the Alliance's army. They pierced through the bodies of the Alliance's soldiers, causing blood to fly everywhere. This caused the expressions of the Alliance's experts to become quite unsightly. Seeing that their soldiers could not even retaliate, let alone attack Qin, they did not hesitate to give the order to retreat. Their orders caused the other Alliance leaders who had not used the Philosopher's Stone to become even more furious, and they hurriedly called out, "Don't retreat. If you retreat, the entire army will be finished. We still have half of our soldiers who have not used the Philosopher's Stone. We still have a chance of winning." However, the metal-bodied Alliance leaders immediately refused, saying, "If we stay here, we'll die. If you want to go, you can go. Who knows what terrifying methods Qin has?" The metal-bodied Alliance leaders continued to order their soldiers to retreat, and the soldiers at the front happily retreated. They understood the current situation and did not want to die here for nothing. Deserters in an army greatly affected the morale of the army, and now it was not just one or two soldiers who had escaped, but more than half of the army. Apart from the metal-bodied soldiers, some of the non-metal-bodied soldiers saw so many people run away and did not think about running away as well. Even though the non-metal-bodied Alliance leaders ordered their soldiers to quickly gather, they could not stop the army from collapsing. Swish, 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 another wave of arrows descended from the sky, piercing through the bodies of the Alliance soldiers. Blood flew everywhere, and pitiful cries continuously sounded out. This greatly hurt the Alliance soldiers' nerves, causing them to run away even more in fear. More and more people started to run away. Seeing this, the non-metal-bodied alliance leaders furiously cursed and could only give the order to retreat. They did not have the ability to change this situation, and if they did not retreat, they would only die. After all, the situation was simply too chaotic. Bai Qi looked at the countless retreating alliance soldiers and remained expressionless as he gave the order to chase after the escaping soldiers. Apex. Chapter 2596. Book 1, Chapter 41st, Chapter 41 St. The various factions quickly received news of the Alliance's defeat. The normal people were shocked. The Alliance had 80 billion soldiers while Qin had 10 billion. How had the Alliance been defeated so quickly? They were just too weak. The kingdom factions that were rushing over cursed out. What a bunch of trash. They didn't expect the Alliance to be so strong and just wanted them to delay Qin for a bit. But the Alliance couldn't even do such a simple thing, so they were furious. After Feng Shunsha heard this news, her good mood became quite ugly. She thought to herself, this alliance is so useless. They're even worse than trash. In actuality, Qin didn't expect to deal with them so quickly. If he knew that the alliance was so weak, Qin would have only needed to send 5 billion soldiers to deal with them. Now, pretty much everyone was cursing the alliance. The alliance had fled back with their faces covered in dirt and felt like they had no face to see anyone. After Qin dealt with the threat of the alliance, he could now focus on dealing with the Aeolian Empire. The various kingdoms understood the urgency of the situation and hurried over to Qin's side. Feng Shunsha also felt a huge pressure. Although the hurricane was blowing at Qin, causing Qin to be on the defensive, she didn't have much confidence. As expected, in just a few seconds, Zhao Fu gave another order. The soldiers raised the weapons in their hands and sent waves of alchemy power into them. An extremely sharp aura spread out, seeming as if it could cut open one's skin. Countless sharp auras continuously condensed in the sky, forming a massive saber that gave off an incredibly sharp aura. Even from far away, one could feel its sharpness, and it could easily cut through steel. The heavens and earth seemed to become austere and desolate. The massive saber was raised and slashed down, giving off a massive sound. A massive saber light slashed towards the Aeolian Empire with the power to split open the heavens and earth. It was like a bolt of lightning that no one could block. The terrifying hurricane was slashed apart by the saber, turning into chaotic currents that spread to the sides. A ravine was also formed on the ground. Bang! A deafening sound rang out as the terrifying blade light slashed onto the defensive barrier of the Aeolian Empire. A terrifying shockwave spread out, and many cracks instantly appeared on the sturdy defensive barrier. Feng Shunsha's expression was serious as she immediately called out, "Activate the magic formation's third form." The huge cyan magic formation suddenly stopped operating, and the countless rays of light it emitted also retracted. The countless rays of light condensed above the magic formation. It had no facial features and only had a pair of sapphire-like eyes. It held an azure scimitar in one hand and gave off an extremely terrifying aura. This was the wind spirit god that was formed by the formation. It could control the power of heaven and earth, and its strength was extremely shocking. Swish, swish, swish. The wind spirit god waved the scimitar in his hand, and countless wind forces gathered in an instant, forming countless cyan wind blades. They shot toward the Qin soldiers in an overwhelming manner, as if they could cut everything into pieces. The scene was extremely frightening. At this moment, Zhao Fu also ordered countless soldiers to condense alchemy power. A huge amount of alchemy power condensed in front of the army and quickly formed a huge metal shield. Bang! Bang! The terrifying wind blades that blotted out the sky and covered the earth collided with the metal shield, producing loud sounds. Countless gales blew out. The sound was deafening. However, even though the sounds were quite shocking, they did not harm Qin soldiers. Zhao Fu immediately ordered the alchemy, saint beasts, and devil beasts to attack. Boom, boom, boom. Beams of demonic light containing immense power shot towards the wind god defensive barrier. As they struck the defensive barrier, light shined everywhere, and many cracks appeared on the defensive barrier. Feng Xinsha immediately called out, "Activate the city wall's defenses." Cyan runes floated out of the city walls, forming gusts of wind. More accurately speaking, they were like streams of water that continuously flowed around the city walls. A powerful wind spread out, and not only did the defensive barrier become stronger, but the city walls also became incredibly firm. Chi, chi, chi. Countless large cyan birds flew out from behind the Aeolian Empire. Each of them was 1,000 meters long and had green feathers. There was a crown on their heads, and their gazes were incredibly sharp. These were large creatures that the Aeolian Empire had nurtured, and they were called bright wind birds. After the countless bright wind birds appeared, they flapped their wings and created a massive cyan gale that blew towards Qin's devil beasts. This cyan gale was not simple at all and was as sharp as a blade. As it hit the ground, a layer of the ground was shaved off. Facing this sharp cyan gale, the devil beasts released their devil chi barriers, and the alchemy saint beasts gave off boundless holy light, easily blocking this gale. The bright wind birds only dared to attack from afar because they did not have as many people as Qin's side. If they all charged over, they would only be sending themselves to their deaths. Seeing that the bright wind birds were not of much use, Feng Xinsha immediately had the soldiers gather the wind attribute energy within their bodies. Countless traces of cyan aura gathered around the Aeolian Empire and continuously condensed, forming 1,000-meter-tall soldiers wearing armor and holding spears. Kill! These soldiers loudly shouted and brought with them waves of cyan gale as they rushed towards Qin's soldiers. They were incredibly fast, and in the next moment, they arrived in front of the shield that Qin had condensed and vigorously attacked it, causing massive sounds to ring out. The soldiers' power was quite shocking, and as the soldiers attacked, some cracks appeared on the metal shield. The bright wind birds continued to flap their wings, creating wild gales to attack Qin's devil beasts. The wind spirit god once again attacked. It swung its cyan scimitar, bringing with it countless cyan wind blades as it slashed towards Qin's soldiers. At this moment, the situation seemed to be reversed. It was as if Qin's side was defending while the Aeolian Empire was attacking. Feng Xinsha had no choice but to do this. She knew that she was not a match for Qin's soldiers, so she could only furiously attack to stall for time. As long as the various royal kingdom's soldiers arrived, they would be saved. Facing the Aeolian Empire's ferocious attacks, more and more cracks appeared on the metal shield, and it seemed like it would shatter in a few hits. Zhao Fu understood Feng Xinsha's goal, so he did not hesitate to counterattack. Archers walked out from behind Qin's army and took out talisman arrows and knocked them on their bows. They drew their bows to their limits and aimed at the countless wind god soldiers. Swish, 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 the arrows turned into rays of light as they shot out, bringing with them terrifying power. They drew arcs in the air, seeming to be able to pierce through everything as they shot towards the massive wind god soldiers. The wind god soldiers swung their spears, bringing with them strong gales, wanting to stop the talisman arrows from descending. Chapter 2597. Book 1, Chapter 42, Seal. Chi, chi, chi. Talisman arrows descended and easily pierced through the massive soldiers. The wind god soldiers' bodies collapsed and turned into traces of green aura before dissipating. The soldiers who had condensed countless wind god soldiers were also affected, and a trace of blood leaked out of their mouths. However, their situation was not serious. At the same time, massive ballistae appeared behind Qin. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of the air being torn could be heard as massive arrows shot out, giving off immense power and speed as they shot towards the wind god birds. This caused the countless wind god birds to stop attacking and hide within the defensive barrier. At that moment, Zhao Fu raised a hand, and the countless soldiers' bodies gave off waves of black aura and flooded toward Zhao Fu. Roar! A heaven-shaking dragon's roar sounded out as the countless traces of black aura condensed into an enormous black dragon that gave off a domineering and noble aura and an extremely terrifying might. Zhao Fu's hand descended, and the massive black dragon gave off a massive aura as it ferociously rushed towards the Aeolian Empire. Boom! The wind spirit god vigorously swung its scimitar, giving off an even greater wind that formed even more green wind blades. They gave off sharp auras as they flooded towards the black dragon. Facing so many incoming wind blades, the black dragon did not feel any fear at all. Its body gave off a black light and gave off a powerful aura as it charged forwards. Bang! 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 The black dragon's power was extremely terrifying. It knocked away the wind blades that were shooting over like a tide, and the wind blades that were knocked away immediately turned into countless specks of light. The black dragon's speed was also extremely fast, and it charged towards the wind god empire like a hot knife through butter. Bang! A massive explosion once again sounded out as the massive black dragon smashed into the defensive barrier with terrifying power, causing a massive shockwave to ripple out. Crack! A clear sound rang out as the firm green defensive barrier shattered, and the black dragon turned into traces of black aura and dissipated. Now that the defensive barrier had been destroyed, it was time to launch an all-out attack. However, just as Zhao Fu was about to give the order to attack, Feng Shunsha also gave the order to activate the final defense. The massive wind spirit god turned into countless azure streams of air and flowed towards the city walls. The countless azure runes absorbed this power and gave off boundless light, forming azure energy blocks in front of the city walls. One by one, the soldiers stepped forward and cut open their palms, injecting their blood into them. After absorbing the blood, the countless energy blocks seemed to have a life of their own, casually forming a defensive wall in midair. This was the last defense of the Aeolian Empire. If it was broken by Qin again, the Aeolian Empire could only confront Qin head-on. However, in a direct confrontation, she did not have much of an advantage at all. Qin had far more large creatures than Wind God. In terms of soldiers, Qin was also much stronger. Moreover, Qin had various types of soldiers. Now, her only advantage was the defense of the city wall. Why haven't the people from the various kingdoms arrived yet? At this moment of life and death, Feng Shunsha was no longer as domineering and powerful as she usually was, and she felt incredibly anxious. Looking at the defensive wall that had appeared, Zhao Fu immediately ordered the god refinement beasts and devil beasts to attack the defensive wall and destroy it as soon as possible. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! Just as the god refinement beasts and devil beasts were about to attack, countless wind birds flew out, stirring up wild gales as they attacked Qin's devil beasts. Moreover, they did not have any intention of retreating, and they directly charged at Qin's devil beasts. It seemed that Feng Shunsha was going all out in order to defend and planned to sacrifice some wind birds to stall Qin's attacks. Zhao Fu did not hesitate. A direct confrontation was advantageous to Qin, so he ordered all of the devil beasts and god refinement beasts to attack the wind birds. Bang, bang, bang! The devil beasts and devil beasts started to fight intensely with the wind birds in the sky, causing powerful gales to blow out. A demonic beast opened its mouth and bit down on the bright wind bird's body, tearing off a piece of flesh from its body. Blood splattered everywhere, and a bright wind bird shot out a wind cone, piercing through a demonic beast's body. Another devil beast savagely sent a wind bird flying. The wind bird used its sharp claws to claw open a few wounds on a devil beast's body, and a devil beast shot out a devil race pillar, sending another wind bird flying. Because there were many devil beasts on Qin's side, some devil beasts bullied a wind bird, and the god refinement beasts on the ground could help. Even though it was difficult for them to attack, because they were mixed together, they could aim their cannons at the wind birds and attack when they had the chance. In just a short period of time, many wind birds had died. However, Feng Xinsha was not stupid enough to send all of her wind birds to their deaths. After seeing the wind birds stall Qin's devil beast, she had the wind birds stop fighting with Qin's devil beast and choose to hide. At that moment, Zhao Fu ordered people to aim massive ballistae at the Aeolian Empire's final defensive wall. The ballistae were filled with disaster pearls and talisman stones, and they contained massive destructive power. They would most likely be able to break through the Aeolian Empire's defenses. Seeing the massive ballistae aimed at her, Feng Xinsha felt a chill in her heart and hurriedly said, "Wait, I have something to tell you." Zhao Fu felt quite startled and had his people stop attacking before calling out, "What is it? If you surrender, I'll immediately stop attacking the Aeolian Empire." Feng Xinsha anxiously thought to herself. In actuality, she did not have anything to talk to Zhao Fu about. She had just said that in a moment of desperation, wanting Zhao Fu to temporarily stop attacking. Soon, Feng Xinsha said, "My Aeolian Empire can give half of its territory and half of its residents to Qin's devil beast. Also, don't you like women? You can choose any woman in my Aeolian Empire as long as you let off the Aeolian Empire this once." Right now, Feng Xinsha could only endure the discomfort and beg for mercy. However, she only said it and did not intend to do it. Her goal was to stall for time. Zhao Fu was not stupid and coldly laughed. "Since you're not surrendering, there's nothing else to say. Fire!" Boom! 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 Massive explosions sounded out in all directions as the ballistae turned into massive rays of light that contained terrifying power as they shot towards the Aeolian Empire, seeming to cause the air to explode. Feng Xinsha's expression was quite unsightly, and she quickly ordered her people to desperately defend. Bang! Bang! Massive explosions sounded out as the beams of light slammed into the defensive wall. The massive power pierced through the defensive wall and shattered it, but the beams of light also dissipated. It could be seen that the defensive wall was incredibly sturdy. Now that the Aeolian Empire did not have any defensive methods, it was time to launch an all-out attack. Chapter 2598. Book 1. Chapter 43. At this time, the other kingdoms had also arrived at the border, only 3 worlds away from Qin. There were 11 royal kingdom-level factions, including the number 1 sect in the ancient stem domain, the ancient sword sect, and their disciples were led by Jianyin. At that time, the head of the ancient sword sect sent someone to tell Qin to behave himself and not to attack the Aeolian Empire. However, Qin completely ignored the people sent by the ancient sword sect and continued to attack the Aeolian Empire, not placing the number 1 faction in the ancient stem domain in his eyes at all. The ancient sword sect's sect master was furious and ordered Jianyin to lead an army to attack Qin and take the head of Qin's ruler. Now, the various armies were mainly following Sword Cry. After all, he was the top-ranked faction, so they naturally had to give him face. The Bear Mountain Kingdom, the Eight Sons Dragon Sect, the Netherine Dynasty, and many other factions were among them. Apart from them, Li Baiqing and Suyin also brought some people to join them. They did not bring many soldiers with them, only around 2 billion or so. Of course, they would not foolishly charge up, so they chose to merge with the armies of the various kingdoms. The other factions did not have many soldiers either, only having 1/8 of their forces, which was 5 billion soldiers. However, in total, they had 50 billion soldiers. Most importantly, these 50 billion soldiers were Stage 2 soldiers, which was equivalent to 200 billion Stage 1 soldiers. As a border kingdom, the Qin Kingdom mainly had Stage 1 soldiers. Even though it had 60 billion soldiers, most of them were Stage 1 soldiers and could not defend against the other kingdoms. As such, many people felt that the Qin Kingdom would be destroyed as the disparity in strength was too great. At this time, Jianyin also received the news that the Aeolian Empire could not resist, so he immediately shouted, "Speed up the march. We must arrive before Qin breaks through the Aeolian Empire." Jianyin was very interested in Feng Xinsha and wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to obtain her. Long Yang said with a smile. After we conquer Qin State, we can give up everything else, but all the women in Qin's harem will belong to us. A bald big man, Emoli, who had been on good terms with the Devil Horn Empire, called out unhappily. What do you mean it's all yours? I'm here for that woman, Qin. Xiong Xiao smiled proudly and said, I can give you ordinary women, but I want those famous women in Qin. Yu Yueqian of the Netherine dynasty said calmly, Women, you can go there. We only want Qin's treasures and resources. Gu Qingyue snorted, We haven't conquered Qin City yet. Why are you quarreling? Xiong Xiao said with a confident smile. This time, the various kingdoms have joined forces. Wouldn't it be easy to destroy a border country? This Qin is a bit out of place in the border region, but it's a pity that they are facing us. Emoli shouted angrily. I wanted to beat this Qin for a long time. He killed my good friend Yao Ming. This time, I'll definitely make him die an ugly death and take all of his women to enjoy. Li Baiqing, who had fought with Zhao Fu many times and was very familiar with Zhao Fu, said, Qin City is not as simple as you think. Even though we have the advantage, it's best to be careful. Jianyin said with a trace of condescension, It's just a border faction that can only bully the surrounding factions. Facing us, no matter how many tricks he has, it's useless. You might be afraid of him, but we're not afraid at all. Hearing this, Li Baiqing felt quite angry. He definitely was not afraid of Zhao Fu. From his understanding of Zhao Fu, Qin City's strength was unfathomable and far more terrifying than these people could imagine. These people had not fought with Qin City before, so they did not know. Bing Qixue did not say anything. He felt that Qin City was not simple, so he had tried to persuade his kingdom not to attack Qin City. However, the Ice Origin Kingdom had still decided to attack and had asked him to lead. As such, Bing Qixue could only agree and hope that they would be able to successfully destroy Qin City. At that moment, a valiant-looking young man wearing black armor and giving off a powerful aura led a group of people over. He was Great Qin's General Meng Tian. Meng Tian looked at the armies in front of him with a serious expression. The soldiers behind him were all dressed in black armor and held spears covered with runes. Attack! Meng Tian coldly shouted. Qin City's soldiers obeyed and immediately threw out their spears. The spears gave off immense power as they shot towards the armies of the various royal kingdoms, leaving behind traces in the air. Seeing tens of thousands of spears shoot over, the armies of the various royal kingdoms stopped. To the billions of soldiers, these tens of thousands of spears were like tens of thousands of pieces of cotton. They did not pose any threat at all. Jianyin and the others felt quite disdainful. However, what was surprising was that the spears did not attack them and instead landed on the ground, causing magic formations to appear. Li Baiqing's expression fell as he called out, Those are Qin City's teleportation spears. Hurry and use sealing power to lock down this region. Just as he spoke, a ferocious, savage, bloodthirsty, desolate, and massive aura erupted out like a volcano. Sensing this terrifying aura, the army's expressions fell. Rumble. A massive sound rang out as countless insect beasts surged out from the teleportation formations. Some looked like ants, but they were 3 meters long. Some looked like cockroaches, but they had black fur. Some looked like centipedes, but they had 4 horns. Some looked like scorpions, but they had a ghost face on their backs. Seeing these insects, countless people felt quite confused. How could insect from the outer world appear in the heaven-awakened world? He turned his gaze towards the chaos world. Erisina led the god emissaries and flew in the sky, giving off a powerful aura. On the ground, countless insects flooded forwards, chasing after Erisina and the others in the sky. In the sky, Erisina and the others did not feel afraid or nervous at all as they had attracted the countless insect beasts. The countless insectoids sensed something and gave up on chasing Erisina and the others. However, they continued to charge forward with great momentum. This was because there was a massive and firm building ahead that gave off an even greater aura. Sensing this aura, countless insects madly rushed over. This building was quite strange. 3 massive doors were already open, allowing the insects to enter. After the countless insects entered, they followed a massive passageway and continued onwards, and they became even more berserk because they sensed an even greater and purer heaven-awakened world aura. Their hatred towards the heaven-awakened world was already engraved in their bloodlines, and madly killing and destroying everything related to the heaven-awakened world had become their instincts. Chapter 2599. Book 1. Chapter 44. There were firm city walls beside the massive passageway, and there were some who did not follow the rules and climbed up. However, the city walls immediately gave off a light as a massive gravitational force weighed down on them, causing countless insects to fall off. The gravitational force did not harm the insects, so they did not panic or become agitated, and they continued to charge forwards. The flood of insects flowed through the passageway into a large hole, which gave off a heaven-awakened world aura. This caused the insects to become even more excited as they rushed in, wanting to destroy everything. However, before they could react, their bodies were pulled in another direction by a massive force. Following this, the insects arrived in a massive space. Sensing the countless heaven-awakened world creatures around them, the insects felt as if they were going to go crazy and destroy everything. However, they were once again pulled away by a massive force and appeared on a grassy plain. Sensing the countless heaven-awakened world creatures in front of them, the countless insects did not hesitate or fear and madly charged at those people. Great Sheen had long since prepared this method to deal with the insect beasts in the outer world and had only started to use it today. Seeing the countless insects ferociously charge over, the soldiers of the various royal kingdoms immediately formed a shield wall. Because they were too close, they could not use any of their abilities and could only quickly defend. Bang! 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 The countless insects ferociously smashed against the shield wall, and the soldiers of the various royal kingdoms vigorously pressed against the shield wall. As soldiers of the inner regions of the ancient STEM domain, they were not weak, and they were able to forcibly stop the oncoming insects. The spearmen and bladed soldiers in the back vigorously swung their weapons, bringing out cold lights as they killed the incoming insects. The insects' blood splattered everywhere as their painful cries continuously sounded out. Their corpses quickly covered the ground, and the ground was dyed with different colors of blood. This did not make the insects feel afraid, and they instead became even more berserk. They madly charged at the soldiers of the various royal kingdoms, and some of them vigorously leapt over the shield wall and landed amongst the soldiers, attacking them. A mantis-like insect beast swung its pincers, slashing apart 3 or 4 soldiers' bodies, causing blood to spurt out. An ant-like insect beast jumped in and bit one of the soldiers, causing the soldier to howl in pain. A scorpion-like insect beast ferociously stabbed forwards with its stinger, piercing through a soldier's chest. The scorpion swung its tail, flinging the soldier's corpse away. An earthworm-like insect beast sprayed out acid, which landed on a few soldiers' bodies. The intense corrosion caused the soldiers to howl as they died. The various kingdoms hurriedly retreated and pulled away from the insect beasts. The soldiers all gave off their powers and defensive barriers appeared, covering the armies and keeping the insect beasts outside. Shio, shio, shio. Sharp arrows shot out from the back of the army, falling down like rain, piercing through countless insect beast bodies. Countless cries of pain sounded out as countless insect beasts were killed, and many more insect beast corpses littered the ground. Countless insect beasts attacked the barrier ferociously, causing many cracks to appear on the barrier. The soldiers within the barrier attacked the insect beasts in an orderly manner. Arrows and cold lights shot towards the insect beasts, killing them in large numbers. Sword Cry and the others' expressions became serious and no longer dared to underestimate Sheen. They had never thought that Sheen would have so many insect beasts, and they had just lost many soldiers. Everyone understood that those magic formations were teleportation channels, and they naturally understood why Li Baiqing had told them to unleash sealing power. After unleashing sealing power, these teleportation channels would not be able to be used. The various royal kingdoms brought a large number of soldiers and experts. They immediately flew into the sky and massive power spread out, locking down the surrounding space. The surrounding space was locked down, and the teleportation channels lost their power. The countless insect beasts that had flooded out from the teleportation channels also disappeared. Without the insect beasts coming out to fill up the gaps, the remaining insect beasts were quickly killed by the various armies. Meng Tian quickly led her people and retreated. Li Baiqing looked at the countless insect corpses and said seriously, "Do you understand now? Qin is not as simple as you think. If you want to destroy Qin, you have to be careful." Sword Cry and the others fell silent. Before, they had mocked the alliance for being too weak and the Devil Horn Empire for being useless. Now that they had personally fought with Qin, they understood that it was not that the alliance was too weak and the Devil Horn Empire was useless, but that Qin was truly terrifying. Sword Cry called out, "Let's continue onwards. Everyone, be careful." Following this, the armies gave off massive auras as they continued onwards. If nothing happened, they would be able to reach the Aeolian Empire soon and face Qin head-on. However, they did not go very far before an even larger horde of insect beasts was waiting for them. Just then, Meng Tian had only teleported a portion of the insect beasts here to stall the armies for a while before teleporting a large number of insect beasts together. Sword Cry and the others looked quite shocked as they looked at the boundless ocean of insect beasts. How did Qin have such terrifying abilities? He had too many insect beasts. Rumble, the ocean-like horde of insect beasts gave off world-destroying auras as they charged towards the armies, seeming as if nothing could stop them. This power caused the heavens and earth to change colors, and winds blew and clouds swirled as the sun and moon dimmed. The armies had long since gotten into defensive formations, and massive energy barriers gave off immense power as they covered the armies. Two extremely terrifying auras filled this place, causing the temperature to plummet. The countless creatures living here felt as if they were in a world of ice and snow, and their bodies uncontrollably trembled as their souls were greatly shaken. Bang! 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 Massive sounds rang out as the countless insect beasts smashed against the defensive barriers and madly attacked them. The armies also started to counterattack. They did not plan to hold back and focused on attacking the massive insect beasts, or else they might die at their hands. Within the ancient sword sect, the disciples pointed their swords at the insect beasts and gave off countless traces of sword chi. The countless disciples' sword chi formed a lake of sword chi, giving off an incredibly sharp aura that seemed to be able to cut apart rocks. Swish, 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 countless traces of sword chi shot out from the terrifying lake of sword chi, incredibly quickly and incredibly sharp. They instantly cut apart insect beast bodies, causing blood to spurt out. Eight Suns Dragons sect the disciples gave off waves of orange aura, which gathered above them and formed orbs of light that gave off massive amounts of masculine power. Apex. Chapter 2600. Volume 1, Chapter 45, Seal. Bang! Bang! The orange orb of light quickly shot into the insect horde and caused massive explosions, sending many insect beasts flying. Some of their bodies were blasted apart, and their corpses flew everywhere. The Netherine dynasty's soldiers gave off countless traces of gray, ghostly chi, which gathered in front of them and continuously changed, and a massive cold and eerie power spread out. Arg! Countless howls sounded out from within the ghostly chi as terrifying ghostly creatures rushed out and quickly rushed at the insect beasts. They started to fight with the insect beasts, killing them one by one. Icy Origin Kingdom, the soldiers dressed in icy armor continuously gave off cold chi, which gathered around them. An icy power spread out, causing the temperature to fall and the ground to start to freeze. Whoosh! The terrifying cold air surged towards the insect beasts like a tidal wave, instantly submerging them one by one. The insect beasts were quickly frozen to death, their bodies covered in a layer of white frost. The various factions' powers were quite terrifying, and they unleashed all sorts of powerful methods. Soon, they had killed a large number of insect beasts, causing the ferocious aura that the insect beasts gave off to quickly fall. The insect beasts madly attacked the defensive barriers, causing some cracks to appear on them. However, it would take some time to break through them. Roar! 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 Massive dragon roars sounded out as insect den wyverns flapped their wings and appeared in the sky, giving off massive power. Boom! 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 In the next second, the countless insect den wyverns shot out massive beams of light that contained destructive power. They were incredibly fast, seeming to be able to pierce through everything as they shot towards the defensive barriers, causing the air to tremble. Bang! 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 The beams of light hit the defensive barriers, resulting in massive sounds, and the light that the defensive barriers gave off dimmed. The countless insect beasts attacked the defensive barriers even more ferociously. Bang! A shattering sound rang out as the first defensive barrier was destroyed. Countless insect beasts madly rushed in and started to ferociously and furiously fight with those people. Powerful ripples spread out as blood flew everywhere, and the sounds of fighting continuously sounded out. Bang! 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 The other defensive barriers were also destroyed, and the various armies started to fight with the insect beasts. The battlefield fell into chaos, and the ground was littered with dead soldiers and insect beasts. Boom! Boom, boom, boom! The various factions did not hesitate and released the large creatures that they had nurtured, causing terrifying auras to spread out like a tidal wave. The ancient sword sect's large creature was a white cow with swords stuck in its head. The Eight Suns Dragon sect's large creature had a dragon's head, a lizard's body, and golden scales. The Netherine dynasty's large creatures were massive ghosts, and the Ice Origin Kingdom's large creatures were white foxes. All sorts of gigantic creatures joined the battle, ferociously attacking the countless insect beasts. The sword oxen charged at the insect beasts with formidable force, sending the insect beasts flying like gravel. The Netherine dynasty's massive monster vigorously stomped on the ground, and a massive force descended, causing many insect beasts to be trampled to death. The Ice Origin Kingdom's fox also spat out countless traces of cold air, freezing a large portion of the insect beasts. The countless insect beasts did not show any fear and flooded towards the large creatures. They bit at the large creatures' bodies and tore off large pieces of flesh, causing the large creatures to howl. The insect den wyverns also started to attack the large creatures in the sky, shooting terrifying rays of light towards them. Because there were so many insect beasts, Zhao Fu could not control them. If Qin's people were here, they would also be attacked. The insect den wyverns had insect beast power, and countless insect beasts acknowledged them, so they would not be attacked by the insect beasts. Qin had sent 90% of the insect den wyverns here to help the insect beasts attack the armies. However, the advantage of the countless insect den wyverns and the insect den wyverns was not very great. The Royal Kingdom's soldiers and large creatures were all quite powerful, and countless insect beasts were killed while the insect den wyverns were not injured at all. In the outer world, Ericina and the god emissaries had continued to attract large numbers of insect beasts into the passageway. This time, the teleportation channel used top-grade spatial stones, and ordinary sealing power would not be able to seal it. They needed even more powerful sealing power to seal the space and make the teleportation channel lose its effectiveness. Only by continuously adding an insect beast could they make up for the loss of insect beasts. The two sides continuously fought, and the number of insect beasts and people dying continuously increased. Blood dyed the ground red, and there were corpses everywhere. The battlefield was incredibly intense. By now, The number of insect beasts was slowly decreasing because Ericina had lured all of the nearby insect beasts into the passageway and had them enter the heaven-awakened world to fight with the royal kingdoms. There were not many insect beasts nearby, and if they wanted to attract more insect beasts, they would have to go further away. However, this would take up a lot of time, and even if they lured more insect beasts over, the battle would most likely be over. As such, Ericina could only stop attracting more insect beasts. As the insect beasts stopped flowing in, the number of insect beasts naturally decreased. However, they helped Qin deal a heavy blow to the royal kingdom's armies. The battle continued, and without any more insect beasts joining in, the insect beasts became smaller and smaller. The army's advantage became greater and greater, and the armies all let out sighs of relief. At that moment, dozens of insect beasts stealthily snuck into the crowd of insect beasts and arrived in front of the armies. 3-meter-wide metal orbs appeared from their bodies, giving off intense light. Alchemy runes also appeared, giving off an incredibly dangerous feeling. Bang, bang, bang. Heaven-shaking explosions sounded out as blinding white light spread out and a world-destroying power spread out. The ground, rocks, grass, and trees were instantly destroyed, and countless soldiers and insect beasts were covered by the light. The ground violently trembled as a shock wave ferociously spread out. A destructive aura flooded out, and countless sand and dust were blown into the sky, forming a massive mushroom cloud. After the shock waves dissipated, there were 40 or so massive craters in the ground, and there were countless rocks and wood fragments, as well as the corpses of countless soldiers and insect beasts. Those dozens of insect beasts had been nurtured by Qin, and they had exploded because Zhao Fu had used the taboo orbs that he had obtained from the alchemist. The whole family had used all of the taboo orbs that they had worked so hard to create. The effects were incredibly shocking, and it was mainly because they caught the royal kingdoms by surprise. They had caused nearly 2 billion casualties to the armies of the royal kingdoms. Chapter 26:01. Book 1, Chapter 46. Facing the armies, countless insects had been killed, and the remaining insects were terrified and escaped. The people from the various kingdoms looked at the scene of devastation and corpses. The various kingdoms had brought 50 billion soldiers, but after the insects' attacks and explosions, there were only 27 billion soldiers left, and almost half of them had died. The remaining people were more or less injured and had used up a lot of their strength. Their bodies were covered with blood of various colors, and they looked quite wretched. They hadn't even fought with Qin, and they had already suffered so many casualties. Qin's strength was simply terrifying, and the people from the various kingdoms felt a trace of fear towards Qin. Everyone turned to look at Jianin. Should they continue to advance in this situation? There could be countless dangers waiting for them ahead. Some people planned to retreat because they had suffered too many losses and did not want to lose all of their forces here. 1/8 of their forces was incredibly important to a kingdom, and if they lost all of their forces, it would be a great loss to the kingdom. Li Baiqing could tell what they were thinking and said, "With my understanding of Qin, I think that Qin has no other methods. This is Qin's most powerful method. If he had, he would have destroyed all of the surrounding factions long ago and would not have waited until now to attack the Aeolian Empire. Right now, the Qin Empire's main forces are fighting with the Aeolian Empire, and they don't have many soldiers to stop us. This is a good opportunity to destroy Qin. If we miss it, we won't have another chance in the future." Jianin said, "I think so too. Qin no longer has any soldiers to stop us, which is why he released countless insects. Now is a good opportunity to destroy Qin, so let's continue onwards." Baldy Moly yelled, "That trash Qin killed so many of our soldiers. How can you endure this? I won't retreat. I'll destroy Qin, kill all of Qin's men, and take all of Qin's treasures and women." Hearing this, everyone thought for a moment before nodding and continuing onwards. Rumble, a powerful aura that could topple the mountains and overturn the seas ferociously attacked them, causing the expressions of countless people to change greatly as they hurriedly looked forward. An army appeared in front of them. This time, the army was very strange. Some of them were emitting ghost chi. Some seemed to be from the gold refiner race. Some looked like soldiers from the celestial world. And some looked like people from the card world. What was going on? Why were there so many people from different worlds gathered together? Everyone had a strange look on their faces, but they looked at the flag they were holding. It was Qin's Black Dragon Blood flag. These people all belonged to Qin. Moreover, their auras were not weak, and many of them were Stage 2 soldiers. More importantly, there were more than 20 billion of them. Everyone felt quite startled. When had Great Qin hidden such a powerful army? They didn't know anything about this. They really underestimated Qin. Bing Qixue directly said, "My Ice Origin Kingdom will no longer advance. All soldiers, listen to me and prepare to retreat." Before, everyone had thought that Great Qin did not have much of an army and would be able to easily destroy Great Qin. However, now that Great Qin had suddenly sent out such a powerful army, they were all injured and had used up a lot of their strength, while the other side was still in peak condition. If the two sides fought, their side did not have much of an advantage. Even if they could win, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. They did not know how many soldiers would die, so there was no need to advance. Gu Qinghue also called out, "The ancient god sect will no longer advance and prepare to retreat." Everyone else also said that they would no longer advance and retreat. They were not stupid and knew that advancing would not have a good outcome. They would not go in and die. Jianin felt quite angry. Even though he wanted to destroy Qin, he could not allow his army to charge over. If that happened, they would definitely lose. Long Yang understood that they could no longer advance, and he felt quite furious. Li Baiqing coldly looked at the army in front of him. He understood that their attack on Qin had failed and that they could not kill Zhao Fu. Li Baiqing felt even more hatred. Seeing that everyone wanted to retreat, Jian Yin did not insist and said, "Everyone, let's retreat." Hearing that they were retreating, the various armies let out a sigh of relief. They understood the current situation and felt that Great Qin was truly terrifying. The various armies started to retreat in an orderly manner. Qin's soldiers let out sighs of relief. If they had fought with the various royal kingdoms, they would have lost countless soldiers and the various factions would have been heavily injured. Their goal was to stop the various royal kingdoms' armies from advancing. Now that they had achieved their goal, they did not continue to chase after the various royal kingdoms' armies. The news of the alliance retreating was already surprising, and now that the various royal kingdoms' armies were also retreating, countless people looked quite confused. Once this news spread, it caused a massive uproar. Finally, back to the Aeolian Empire. Right now, Qin was fully attacking the Aeolian Empire. Countless Qin's soldiers and demon beasts flooded towards the Aeolian Empire. The Aeolian Empire shot out countless arrows, which rained down on Qin's soldiers. Unfortunately, many of the arrows were blocked by Qin's soldiers and did not cause much damage. The Aeolian Empire then released countless wind blades, bringing with them powerful storms towards Qin's soldiers. Many Qin's soldiers used Qin's power and alchemy power to condense shields, resisting the countless storms and continuing to rush forward. The Aeolian Empire no longer had any means of defense. After resisting the countless storms, Qin's soldiers finally came to the city wall and started to attack it. At that moment, the Aeolian Empire still did not know that the other kingdoms had retreated. They still had some hope, and they thought that as long as they stalled Qin soldiers until the other kingdoms arrived, they would win. Countless heavy objects were thrown down from the sky, smashing down the Qin soldiers who had climbed up the city wall. Arrows shot out and pierced through the bodies of Qin's soldiers, and many cold lights continuously attacked Qin's soldiers, causing many casualties to Qin's soldiers. At that moment, Qin's soldiers started to counterattack. Massive crossbow bolts containing great power broke through the storms and landed on the city wall. A wave of power spread out, causing the azure runes on the city wall to dim and disappear, and the storm created by the wind blades disappeared. Swish, swish, swish. The countless archers behind Qin's soldiers also shot out arrows, which drew arcs in the air and shot towards the wind god soldiers. The arrows pierced through their bodies, causing blood to fly everywhere. Many flying demon beasts swooped down from the sky, sending the Aeolian Empire's soldiers flying. Some used their claws to tear apart the wind god soldiers' bodies, and some used their mouths to bite the wind god soldiers before throwing them away. Chapter 26:02. Book 1. Chapter 47. Qin's attack was incredibly ferocious, and he was about to reach the city walls. Boom! An azure army gave off a massive gust of wind as it charged out from the side, charging into Great Qin's army like a hot knife through butter. The bodies of Great Qin's soldiers in front of them were instantly sliced apart, and their corpses and blood flew everywhere, creating a terrifying scene. These were 3 billion stage 3 Aeolian Empire soldiers from the First Aeolian Empire, and they were Feng Xinche's greatest help in establishing the Aeolian Empire. When stage 3 soldiers gathered together, their strength was incredibly terrifying, and they could suppress all other soldiers. The Wind God army continued to attack Great Qin's soldiers with a sharp and powerful aura. Boom! A blood-red army gave off an evil, twisted, and berserk power as it charged out from the side, giving off a terrifying aura that seemed to be able to kill everything. It was like a berserk beast as it charged towards the green army. This caused the expressions of the Aeolian Empire's army to fall. Bang! A huge sound rang out as the two armies fiercely collided, causing a terrifying shockwave to spread out. This blood-red army was mostly stage 3, and some were even stronger than ordinary stage 3 soldiers. They all looked savage and gave off a blood-red aura. Their appearances had greatly changed as well. Some had 3 eyes, some had 4 hands, some had a bull's head, some had fangs, some had wings, and some were covered in black scales. More than 1 billion of them were the stage 3 wind god soldiers that Qin had captured in the past. They had long since been turned into devils by Qin, and their strength was even more terrifying than before. They only listened to Zhao Fu's orders. There were also some powerful devils. The two sides clashed and began an intense battle. Even though the Aeolian Empire had more people, Qin's side was more ferocious. Feng Xinche's expression was quite unsightly. She had thought that this stage 3 wind god army would be of great use, even if it could only slow down Qin's advance. She had never thought that Qin would be able to stop them. On the other side, Qin's main force continued to attack the Aeolian Empire. Many Qin soldiers had already attacked the city wall. The two sides had officially started fighting. A Qin soldier wielded a long saber and chopped a wind god soldier's head open. Another wind god soldier thrust his spear and pierced through a Qin soldier's chest. An arrow suddenly shot out from below and pierced through the wind god soldier's throat. A wind god soldier swung his sword, sending out a green sword light that cut off the head of a Qin soldier. Blood spurted out from the neck, and a Qin soldier held a short axe and vigorously hacked into the back of a wind god soldier. The battle was very fierce, and the number of people dying was increasing. However, it was obvious that Qin's soldiers, who were strengthened by various powers, were stronger. If this went on, the Aeolian Empire would definitely lose. Feng Xinche flew into the sky and raised her hand. A green feather appeared above her palm. This was the Aeolian Empire's nation armament, the Wind Spirit Divine Feather. Boom! Countless traces of fate flowed out from various parts of the Aeolian Empire and flooded into that feather. The feather gave off boundless green light, dyeing the sky azure, and a massive wave of wind god power spread out. After receiving this power, the wind god soldiers' bodies gave off faint green light, and they became stronger than before. This caused the wind god army, whose morale had fallen, to feel invigorated, and they ferociously counterattacked the Qin soldiers. Boom! 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 before the wind god army could rejoice for too long. Massive explosions sounded out as massive bronze soldier statues appeared in the sky, giving off an aura that seemed to be able to conquer the world in a massive might. Zhao Fu stood at the center of the bronze statues and coldly looked at Feng Shunsha as he said, "All resistance is useless." Boom! Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and pressed down, and the 12 bronze statues gave off boundless killing power that pressed down on the Aeolian Empire's nation armament. The Aeolian Empire's nation armament gave off a mournful hum, and the green light it gave off dimmed. Feng Shinsha's body trembled, and her face became pale as a trace of blood leaked out of her lips. The sky gradually became blood-red. Qin's soldiers received power, and they attacked the Wind God army even more ferociously, killing countless people. The Aeolian Empire's nation armament was naturally not as powerful as Qin's, and it was directly suppressed by Qin's nation armament. Now, Feng Shinsha did not have any way to defend against Qin's attacks. Her only hope was that the various armies would arrive soon. However, she immediately received a piece of news, causing her face to become even paler. She felt a sense of despair because the news was that the various royal kingdoms had retreated. How was this possible? How could such powerful armies suddenly retreat? Just what was Qin doing? By now, Zhao Fu had heard that Qin had successfully stopped the various royal kingdoms' armies, and a trace of smile appeared on his face. The Aeolian Empire was destined to perish today. Feng Shinsha understood that the Aeolian Empire was doomed today. Seeing the empire that she had worked so hard to establish be destroyed, she felt incredibly pained. However, it was not as if she did not have a chance to take revenge. That chance was to return to the First Aeolian Empire. The First Aeolian Empire was a royal kingdom in the central region, and its basic forces were all at Stage 3. By relying on the First Aeolian Empire, she could still take revenge. Feng Shinsha did not hesitate and immediately turned and ran towards the Aeolian Empire's capital. Zhao Fu coldly laughed. Still trying to run? Zhao Fu immediately chased after Feng Shinsha. Feng Shinsha looked at Zhao Fu and grabbed at the air, causing countless traces of green wind to form a wind whip. Feng Shinsha vigorously swung, and the wind whip lashed towards Zhao Fu with immense power, seeming to be able to shatter a mountain. However, Zhao Fu slashed out with a finger, sending out a black arc of light that instantly slashed apart the wind whip, causing it to turn into countless streams of air and dissipate. Feng Shinsha looked quite confused and cried out, "Emperor Heaven Realm." From what Feng Shinsha remembered, Zhao Fu's cultivation was about the same as hers, and she might even be a bit stronger. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would instantly reach the Emperor Heaven Realm, and the Emperor Heaven Realm was the most powerful existence in the central region. Feng Shinsha wanted to use her nation armament, or else she would not be a match for Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu directly used his nation armament's power, forming a massive blood-red hand that grabbed towards Feng Shinsha. Feng Shinsha's nation armament was suppressed within her body, and she was unable to resist. She was caught by the blood-red hand, and she looked at Zhao Fu in fury and unwillingness. Below, after hearing about the retreating armies, the Aeolian Empire's army almost collapsed. Seeing that the ruler of the Aeolian Empire had escaped, the Wind God army also collapsed and madly ran for their lives. Qin easily took down the city walls, and the army flooded into the Aeolian Empire and quickly took down region after region. The Aeolian Empire's residents ran in terror, and the scene was incredibly chaotic. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.